everybody. Happy Thursday. Good to see you guys. Good to be seen wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. It's another weird fucking day in America. I can tell you right now, when I started doing the outline last night, I didn't know we were going to talk about what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to get through the news, and then we're going to talk about a weird Mike Johnson Judaism Christianity collab that wouldn't mean a goddamn thing if it weren't for the fact that Mike Johnson's third in line to the presidency, which kind of fucked me up while I was watching it. So I'm gonna fuck you guys up while we watch it today. That's how it's gonna be. Welcome back to the TikTok audience. It's good to see you guys on TikTok. It's telling me my microphone has no signal, but it looks like you guys can hear me. So if you can't hear me, sorry about that. I don't know what to do about that. Let me hop over into the VC here so we can get Jen. Boom. Good morning, Jen. Maybe.
Morning.
Boom.
Boom.
That's it.
Just boom.
That's all you're going to give me today is just a good morning?
Yeah. Well, you didn't acknowledge the cows. I'm a little disappointed.
I'm looking at them right now. They understood the assignment. Is that first one? Is that supposed to be Mike Johnson? I think so, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, the first and the last one, both.
Jed gives me a fucking cold shoulder this morning because I didn't acknowledge some pictures she sent me. I'll show them to you here so you guys can all see them.
I mean, you can show them later if it's a better time, but
what's that?
If you want to wait to show them,
I can't.
Or you can show them now.
There we go.
So it's So no, it's just
beautiful.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add?
I mean, that was fun for me this morning. A little extra time for the cow.
I forgot to give you an announcement. I forgot to tell you. Jay is in the mood. I'm in a mood, that's for sure. Well done.
Yeah.
Who was that? Green Pickle? That's pretty good. I finally, we do have our next event scheduled. It's going to be on Monday night. Family night, we can call it. It'll be 9:15 Eastern. It's a debate with Rob Knorr. Hopefully this time he doesn't abandon the debate in the middle and go fix himself a sandwich. And hopefully this doesn't lead to Aftershock stalking us for a year straight.
Well, that was odd.
Yeah. I this time am not going to be the affirmative. Rob is coming with the claim we are better off having elected Trump than Kamala, and my plan is to first have him define we, and then are, and then better, and then off, and then having, and then elected, and then Trump, and then Kamala, and then the debate will end and we'll accomplish nothing. It seems like a good strategy.
I mean, that makes sense to me. So,
by the way, I don't know who it was. Let me see if I can find this on Twitter. Actually, I'll pull it up. It was crazy. Groiper or something? Groiperoni?
Schnazi?
Yeah, I think so. Groiperoni went and tweeted at Andrew Wilson yesterday and said, "Hey, remember that RTP guy you debated on Sarah's channel? He claims he beat you in the debate. He said, I think it's crazy that he thinks that you destroyed him and it was an awful debate topic, and I think you should debate him again." Andrew said, sure, he can cope the second time around. I'm not that interested in ever speaking to Andrew Wilson again because that was a waste of time. And then it turns out he like clips the show a bunch. At first, he tried to tell Andrew that I just never stopped talking about him, and he played this clip, which I'll throw up here. Release any highlights. He played. Obviously, he clipped part of it out. Also, come on, bro. Can't get that YouTube Premium. You got to see those ads. How did that debate go with Andrew Wilson? It went really good. It went really, really well. So much so that Andrew Wilson, for like the first time ever, didn't release any highlights from a debate because he didn't have any. because he just asked me to define the same word 800 times over and over and over again. I think I came out of that looking good, so you can decide for yourself. If you're a person, though, that likes Andrew Wilson, I'm sure that you thought I did a really terrible job. I didn't really remember saying this, but I'm about to make a really good point here that I think is irrefutable, and I would debate anybody on this next topic at any time. I will say this, though, if you guys are here, I'm going to issue this challenge, and I could talk to Sarah over at Raging Tomato, too. I'm on Raging Tomato to show up and explain to me how I lost that debate. Just explain it. So that challenge still stands. Anybody who's an Andrew Wilson fan, free reign. You can show up anytime and just explain to me how I lost that debate. But I missed the good point here. But I have yet to meet one of you who can ever explain why he won a debate. What you're seeing on your screen is you're seeing Andrew's confidence, and Andrew was rattled. Make no doubt about it. I've watched enough Andrews. He was completely rattled in that debate, but he's really good at not seeming rattled. I stand by that too, and I stand by that based on two things. One, Andrew wasn't prepared for an actual debate because he literally didn't listen to my opening statement. But two, at the end of the debate, the thing that he was most focused on is the fact that we had mentioned that Tex watches our show and had changed some of his views, and Andrew couldn't let that go. We spent like 5 minutes at the end of that debate going, who is this guy? This guy doesn't exist. There's no way this guy exists. That's when I knew he was rattled. So he acts confident, and that's enough for you. Because it's a really good point. I know I've got one coming. Thinks Andrew Wilson makes good arguments. You're a fucking idiot. Yeah, and there's no real gray area there. You're just a fucking idiot. That's a good point. That's an excellent point. I didn't remember saying that yesterday. I forget most of what I said. I think that's a really good point. So maybe that's the next debate topic, is if you think Andrew Wilson makes good arguments, you're a fucking idiot. I think that's a good topic. Jen?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it was great. I was going to finish up my stuff. So like you guys heard, we might have a very interesting show today. So that means Jay's going to be hyper focused and hard to get his attention otherwise. So that goal that we have in the corner, the top left-hand corner, since we're on TikTok, there's some links there that we use, the V, the C, and the P, to hit that gift goal. This is our job. We do this each day, Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. So if you guys could help quick, fast, and hurry get to that goal number, that would be fantastic.
A little HVAC there.
I know. I like to cycle things up, keep things spicy, dicey, a little nicey, I guess.
Stupid. So stupid.
It was really dumb. But I tried. Anyways, so if you guys disagree with RTP, you guys can come on and talk to them. How you can do that is the next to the V, that is my Discord username. So you can DM me on Discord, and I can bring you up to talk to them real time. And no, Bowsy, I will not chill, Jen, chill. So check out our link tree. We are on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo, and we upload most of these episodes to Spotify. And I think other than that, besides helping knocking out that gift goal, what do you call a dinosaur's pancreas?
I don't know.
The gland before time.
I wasn't even close on that. The gland before time. Thank you, Jen. Get out of here. Anyway, welcome back on TikTok. Just a reminder, if we could get those likes up and make sure you're gifting, that allows us to stay alive. That allows us to get our wonderful HR rep, by the way, C-Note. I don't know if he's here, but C-Note takes care of us and got our ban undone. So if you are a content creator on TikTok and you get banned a lot, I highly recommend our HR representative, C-Note. C-Note, are you here? If you're here, just put your hand up in the chat. If not, just look up, it's the letter C and then N-O-T-E. He's also been doing some content lately, which is actually pretty interesting. Not necessarily political, but I like it. So check out C-Note over there. And thanks for getting us unbanned this morning. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it would even happen. So thanks for HR. Generally, HR is not on my side. They were today. It isn't a debate with Andrew. It's Andrew saying define this, define that. Yeah. Look, there's a reason that like any serious debater, that Destiny, Vosh, on the left, nobody debates him twice. Nobody ever debates Andrew Wilson twice because it's insufferable and it's nonsense. And he doesn't actually win debates. He just has an army of incels who like the bigotry and they like how he demonizes women. So they don't actually know what the fuck he's saying. They just know that it infuriates people because it's infuriating to speak to somebody who spends 2 hours dodging the conversation. So that's why they think he wins. But again, the challenge stands. I think it's up to like $200 now. If you can come up here and explain Andrew's position, we'll continue to offer that. And old boy who clips our show and watches every day, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for clipping parts of our show and putting it on Twitter. I appreciate that. Free labor. We're a big fan of using free labor when it's free incel labor. All right, let's jump into the outline for today. Looks like yesterday, right when we broke, there you had the active shooter in Georgia. Sounds like everybody is going to be okay. Here's the announcement.
Shortly before 11 o'clock, an active duty soldier assigned to Fort Stewart, Georgia, shot and wounded 5 of his fellow soldiers here on Fort Stewart. Thankfully, all are in stable condition and all are expected to recover. The alleged shooter is in custody. We have reestablished security. I have lifted all lockdown measures on Fort Stewart, and there is currently no threat to the local community. I'd like to recognize and thank our Army law enforcement and medical personnel and our partners from local, state, and federal law enforcement and emergency services for their quick response and support. I would also like to thank the brave soldiers who immediately intervened and subdued the shooter. These soldiers, without a doubt, prevented further casualties. Our wounded soldiers were initially evacuated to Wynn Army Community Hospital right here on Fort Stewart. All arrived in stable condition, and 3 of the 5 required surgical intervention. 2 have been transported to Memorial Hospital in Savannah, Georgia for additional care. We have identified the alleged shooter as Sergeant Cornelius Radford, an automated logistics sergeant assigned to 2nd Brigade Combat Team. Sergeant Radford has not previously deployed to combat. Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel.
All right. We do have, looks like there is a picture. I read a little bit. We don't seem to have very many details yet on motivation. This is the shooter. He goes by Quan, I think, on Facebook. It's Cornelius, but he goes by Quan on Facebook. The only thing I could find as far as motivation is his dad said that he said it's because people were being racist. Obviously, it's no excuse to do what he did, but I'm glad that the soldiers there are okay. Happy to hear it, and that's the only update I have so far. If we get more updates on any other motive or breaking information, let me know. But that's all I knew so far. In a very everybody saw this, so I don't even. Sometimes I feel stupid showing stuff that I know you already saw, but this one's worth it. Here's Linda McMahon giving a speech on probably fucking nothing. Just telling you why education is bad while running the Department of Education and also getting rid of the Department of Education. And somebody, it appears, hacked the sound system at whatever white nationalist conference this was.
That worked. He had his family in the White House. I know that Jerry and Ivanka were incredibly helpful to him. But he had to do some staff changes pretty quickly as people understood what his working style.
I know you said holy moly freeze frame, but like what no matter what. There's never going to be a freeze frame where she looks sane. She's 150 years old and has a droopy eye. There's never going to be a time for her to look sane.
Helpful to him, but he had to do some staff changes pretty quickly as people understood what his working style was, and he understood, them. So, but this time, he knew the story. He knew how to. How to make things work, how to make things run. He had the people coming in that he really wanted to work with him. And then he'd have this little gap. You know, sometimes kids in college take a gap year. Well, he didn't voluntarily take a gap term, but I think it turned out to be an incredible thing for him to have that work.
She might not be able to hear, to be honest. She might not have even known that happened. She was solid pushing through that. It is a fucking clown show. It blows my mind every morning I wake up, and I just think like, oh, today's the day that people in this country will stop being like willfully stupid. And then I show up on stream, and then I check the chat, and I'm like, oh no, we're still doing this shit. We're still saying the dumbest shit possible and pretending that it's true. Welcome to America. I don't know who it was in the Discord that was like, they said like, I wake up every day and I'm trying to decide like when's the right time to leave. Like, am I ready to leave yet? Or have we crossed that line yet? I don't know. And I have to be honest, like I know that consuming this much negativity is tough on your mental health. And I do think that there's you've got to be pretty aware of what this is doing to you. And so I advocate, because I'm going to cover what there is to cover. And a lot of it's going to be negative. And especially if you're not a Christian nationalist, a lot of this is going to be alarming every single day. And so just always a reminder that, yeah, things might not get better anytime soon. Things might get worse. Or maybe things will get better. But if you find yourself in a tough state of mind because of what you're consuming, it's going to be there tomorrow. Going to be there the next day. You got friends. There's a community here in our Discord that take care of each other, and just make sure that if this stuff is really starting to fuck with you, turn it off for a little while. Don't watch me for a little while. That's okay. I definitely believe in taking breaks. It sucks, but that being said, I do think that there is some value in all of us going through it together and laughing through pain sometimes, and laughing through laughs, and laughing at dumb shit Republicans. And so that's what we're gonna try and do today. Amy said Andrew fans are so upset about it, they're coming here daily after a month. Yeah, that's what I said in the. I forgot, I didn't finish that, but like I didn't see that he had tweeted at me for a while until. Sarah messaged me about I think she messaged me about no. I saw that Sarah had tweeted something, and then I saw it and I was like, bro, he's not gonna fuck you. Like, it's so crazy to clip my show and be like, this guy's obsessed with you when you guys are in the audience every day. You have not ever since every day since I've debated Andrew, you folks have been here, and every day I get multiple comments on old videos about Andrew. I get DMs every day, either on Instagram, on Twitter, or like literally just all of you like, duh, he dog walked you, which is, again, explain it. I don't think you can explain it. I don't think anybody usually wins debates. I'm not going to sit here and say that I won a debate. I'm not even going to say that that was a debate. But if you're in here saying that he won a debate, first of all, define win. Define debate. And second of all, I dare you to come up here and explain it. Because every time we have a fucking open panel over there on Raging Tomato, almost everybody just quits. They just rage quit because they can't figure out what the fuck, like Andrew said. They can't even figure out their own beliefs. All they want to do is just attack. And when you go over there and you try and have a conversation, it definitely falls apart. So I'm looking forward to doing that again on Monday. There is nothing I like more than a crash out from a incel Christian nationalist. It's the softest people on earth. Which reminds me, like, nobody's as soft as a conservative. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Those conservative men are soft as shit. That's why every time you go to a conservative podcast, it's like, and now to our sponsor, Blue Chew. Your dick can work again. You don't have to scream at women when your dick doesn't work. This'll fix it. It'll fix it. You're going to be okay. All right, here's something that's hard to watch. This is from NPR. I've seen a bunch of people tweet it. NPR is just saying fuck it, which I appreciate. Trump is trying his best to silence them. This is police body cam footage, and it's going to show a man named Jared Wise. Jared Wise now is a senior advisor for the Justice Department. Okay, live is restricted already. Let's call this video. Warning, strong language. This may get us banned from TikTok. I don't know. Sorry, C-Note, if we get banned already, but here you go.
You are disgusting. law enforcement. You're disgusting. You are the
So what you're hearing here, this is wise. He was arrested and he was pardoned, and now he works for the Justice Department.
Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You can't see it because you're chasing your pension, right? Your pension, your retirement, right? That's what runs your life, your retirement.
The sad thing is they're not even going to get their pension because it's going to be worthless.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Yeah! Fuck yeah! Yeah!
That was a man yelling, yeah, fuck them up, yeah, unalive them. And he works for the Justice Department now. That guy works for the... Sorry, I'm old enough to remember the first presidency. I'm old enough to remember the Biden presidency. If somebody in the Biden administration would have said, I don't like Republicans, it literally, it would lead every fucking segment on Fox News. And you guys would be in the chat every day like, you guys said you don't even like us. They're saying kill him. This man that works for the Justice Department is standing outside of Congress, where members of Congress are certifying an election, and he's saying, fuck him, kill him. And Trump's like, yeah, we ought to give that guy a pardon. Yeah, let's give him a job, too. Like, fuck you, dude. Fuck all of you. The thing is you're all just like him. All these Republicans are just like this dude. Bitches. They're all bitches. They're angry for no reason. And I mean, there's no legitimate reason, but the real reason they're angry is because they're very stupid. And they're incapable of processing information. So it's just all emotion. I was watching a clip of some lady that's like running for Congress in Arizona that also holds the position that maybe women shouldn't hold office and maybe women shouldn't vote because they're too emotional. I'm sorry. Remember the time that a bunch of emotional men were mad that their guy lost, and so they stormed the Capitol and were chanting that they wanted to kill members of Congress, all because they were too stupid to like look at the data? They were literally like, the people speaking to them were fucking Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Steve Bannon. Like it was moron after moron after moron that got them all worked up. Like, these guys are the smart ones. Mike Lindell? Hell yeah, that's my guy. And then they stormed the Capitol because they're emotional and they're not intelligent. And so naturally we would have these people working in the Justice Department, naturally, because that's why we say it's fascism, though. And it is authoritarian. And I guess we're just at this stage now where I saw something. I think it was Bill Maher. Fairly certain it was Bill Maher that said, no, it was on Piers Morgan. It was that psycho Vinny from PBD, and they were talking about our concentration camps that we have here now. And Vinny was like, this is why you lose, because you call everything a concentration camp. And now because you called it a concentration camp, that softens Hitler. And now voters are looking at Hitler and they're like, oh, maybe he's not so bad. Yeah. That's you, dude. We didn't make you think that. It's called justification. And my real problem with every one of these people who say like, oh, it's not fascism, it's not authoritarianism. One, it is. But two, it wouldn't matter. Like Donald Trump could be walking around in a robe with a crown and everybody could be calling him King Trump, and he could abolish the Constitution, and you guys would be like, yeah, but is this really fascism? I don't know. You guys made us do this anyways. If you can be led into authoritarianism because you dislike other people so bad, then guess what? You're exactly the same as all the others. You think the people in Germany were just like woke up one day and they were like, I want to be an authoritarian. I'd like to live under fascist control. Think that's what happened? Or do you think what happened is they got so worked up and so afraid of Jewish people that they just were like, yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. We have no choice. This is our only option. And now we are at the point where like Republicans, regular Republicans are like, you know what? I don't know. Like Hitler had some good points. He wasn't really all bad, right? I mean, he made some mistakes. That's where we're at with the Republican Party now, where you're blaming us for you guys softening your stance on famous authoritarians who commit genocide, while you're also backing a genocide. Like, like intellectually or morally, where's the daylight between what you guys think and what the schmazzies think? Where's the daylight there? What's the separation? Blaming immigrants for your problems, taking those people who you believe are the problems and putting them in concentration camps. What's the difference? Overthrow it. You stormed. You have January 6th, where you stormed the Capitol in the name of Trump. You have the beer hall putsch in Germany, where they stormed a beer hall because that's where they actually met. They didn't meet like at the Capitol. Like if the Germans regularly were holding their meetings at the Capitol, that's where they would have stormed. But they stormed the beer hall, and then everybody in Germany was like outraged by what happened at the beer hall putsch. So they threw all these people in jail, including the leader, which is one thing we didn't do. But then after that leader got thrown in jail, all of the propaganda of, oh, but really these people are evil, softened them on the attempted authoritarian takeover. So then they let him out of jail, and then he came back and he won, and then he took over, and then it was retribution. What did Trump say? I am your retribution. There's no distance. Like ideologically, there is absolutely no difference between schmatzy Germany and modern day Republicans. And I'm sorry if you think that there is. And hopefully if we got to the point where these concentration camps become death camps, hopefully that's where you guys will draw your line. But I don't have a lot of confidence in that. Good Lord. I really don't. Like, I think if I say, right, like, well, let's say Republicans that are here, let's just say that these concentration camps get so overrun and people start dying and they decide, you know what, they're criminals. We're just gonna we're gonna put them down because we can't afford to move them all around the world. We can't afford to house them anymore. I think there's a significant part of you today who would say that's okay. And I think 90% of you, if it started happening, would justify it. And I know that because I've just watched you do it with Palestine. And there's a handful of you that are willing now to push back against what's happening in Palestine. I'll get it later, but one of them is like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You literally have people in your party who are like, finish the job. Finish the job. Yeah, Randy Fine, and no pushback from your party. The closest we saw from pushback in your party is people going like, I don't know who Randy Fine is. I don't know. That doesn't ring a bell. I don't remember that name. You have people right now advocating for a modern day Holocaust, and you guys don't say shit about it. There is no daylight at this point, and you've got to make a decision whether or not you're gonna you are along for that ride or you're not. But I'm real tired of dealing with the same people who for 3-4 years have been telling us, oh, no, we don't want fascism. If Donald Trump was a fascist, we would stop supporting him immediately, and you're just still here. They just slow walk you into it. Like you put a frog in that boiling pot of water, it jumps out. You put the frog in the water and slowly heat it up. That's you. You're the frog. And let's talk about it. Donald Trump takes over. We have gerrymandering, sure. But now, Fox News openly. Jesse Waters, I just saw this actually. I didn't add it in fact, I think it's in the Discord. Let me grab it. I hadn't seen this. Fox News, which of course everybody it's state-run propaganda at this point. Fox News openly saying we should just get rid of Democrat representation. Can I make this?
I believe.
Let me see if I can go full screen with this. There we go. I can just download it.
I believe we should just gerrymander the bejesus out of these maps and just destroy Democrat representation where we can.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're in a war now.
We're in a war now. That's where we're at. We are in a war now, and let's just casually floating the idea of a civil war and ripping representation away from the opposing party. And let's see, I don't know where let's look at the chat. I bet there's people here cheering it on. Tag somebody in the chat that's doing it. You guys have a problem with this? Look, I understand, like, if you're a Republican, you're like, I don't watch Fox News. That's fine. I applaud you for not watching Fox News. But does that outrage you? That would legitimately make me upset. If that happened on any other news organization and they were talking about Republicans and gerrymandering you guys out of representation, I would have a problem with that. What I want to see happen is I want to see criminals go to jail, and I want them to have due process. That's it. I want them held accountable. And you guys seem to just want to hold all of us accountable for your inability to pin a crime on us. You tried for 4 years to pin a crime on Joe Biden. You've tried now for 12 years to pin a crime on Hillary Clinton and Obama, and you still can't do it. And so now that you're inept, and you're inept because there's no evidence, because there was no crime, and you're so frustrated by your inability to seal the deal, that now what you want to do is you just want to eliminate us because we're not buying your bullshit. I don't know where we go from there for you guys. I don't know how are you proud of where you're at now as a country? Okay, visibility. All right, sorry. TikTok, now more than ever on TikTok, it's important to like and gift. We are on a severe. That is the second visibility restriction we got already. Catgate in the lead with Megan, Ms. C, Nunya, and R. Baron loading out the top 5 there. Let's move on. I want to show you Chris Wright. This is insane. Like we're just at the propaganda stage. There's not even. This is Chris Wright. He's the energy secretary. Previously, he was in fracking, and he's in oil. This is not a person who should probably be talking about the environment, but he's going to anyways. And now what we see this administration doing, they're doing it with the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They're just going to get rid of those numbers. They're going to get rid of employment numbers. They're just going to. Does anybody doubt for one fucking second that Donald Trump's not going to replace the people doing statistics with loyalists who will only show you numbers that you want? That's Russia. This is exactly what Russia did. We've been telling you guys for years. Oh, I love Orban. I love Vladimir Putin. I love Kim Jong-un. I love Xi. Yeah, he loves authoritarians. He loves that. He loves when people can lie to the American people and the American people just buy it. And this is one of the most blatant examples of lying by a member of the government that I've ever seen. This is just telling people, don't believe your lying eyes.
The Department of Energy, meanwhile, released its climate report assessing the impact of greenhouse gas emissions. It includes carbon dioxide-induced warming may be less damaging than previously believed, which many people expected. The DOE is...
Yeah, why the fuck do you think we expected it? Because we knew you would lie. Oh, we all expected it. We've been arguing against the science with no data for 30 fucking years, and the data keeps coming out and saying us that we were wrong, but we never believed the data. So now that you're coming out with an opinion without new data, we believe it. That's the saddest part about this Republican Party, is that you guys are literally taking the data that's been given, ignoring that, and listening to a guy who's bought and paid for by the oil companies, who, by the way, they're the ones that lose money when they fuck up the planet. They just want money. They don't want you guys talking about climate change or unhealthy air or unhealthy water, because they're the ones doing it, and they don't want you to do it. Why else would we hire somebody for energy from those industries? Why do we? How come every time Republicans are in office, the EPA gets run by somebody who is paid to give you a different explanation for why we have climate change? Yeah, and this gets absolutely wild what he says here.
Receiving pushback, however, from the New York Times. The Times writes that the Energy Department is attacking climate science in contentious report. Secretary, your reaction?
Oh, what a crazy headline, but I guess that's par for the course for the New York Times. In fact, we're doing the exact...
First, what you start with is you discredit the source. Right? You guys are familiar with Darvo. This is how you deal with Republicans right now, because none of them fucking read. None of them look at data. None of them are going to fact check this. So the first thing you do is say, oh, the New York Times don't believe anything. And every Republican in here is like, yep, check, not believing it. We see you do it every day. You're like, check CNN, not believing it. MSNBC, not believing it. I don't believe anything that has a name next to it that I believe isn't Republican because I've just been trained and conditioned to react this way. So there's the first step. They smear it. They muddy the waters. They poison the well. First step. Oh, it's the New York Times. You can't trust them. But let's hear what he has to say.
Opposite. We're exposing the American people and the broader scientific community to what actually is in the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports.
What we're doing here, me as a lobbyist from an oil company, we're educating the American people and the scientists who are the experts who create these reports. We're just educating the scientists who created this report on what the report actually says because they can't figure out what their own data says. So let me explain it for you. And you're about to hear the dumbest fucking explanation for why they are now ignoring climate science. You can all fact check it. If you're a Republican here, just like go get a your computer, laptop, tablet, pull up Google, and you can search all of these.
Not the hyperbolic summaries for policymakers or media headlines that claim all sorts of crazy stuff. This is what we actually know. How often do you hear that the planet?
By the way, just ironically, he's talking about data, and then he's like, "Oh, we're not doing, don't believe the media headlines, bitch. You're on media." Bitch, you're doing headlines. But it works for Republicans. They don't care. This works for all people who are heavily influenced by propaganda, whether you're in a cult or just some high demand group or you're just a dipshit. They're like, oh, don't believe just the headline stuff. And now he's just going to give you headlines. And you're like, yeah, I don't believe headlines. I'm going to believe these headlines.
It's getting greener because there's more carbon dioxide in the air that contributes to increased crop productivity and greater wilderness, greener wilderness. How often do you hear that deaths from...
Yeah, this is true. We are, and this is in the report, we are getting greener. Like if you look at maps of the earth, we're getting greener because of more carbon dioxide. Ironically, though, plants are healthier, people are dying. This dude's like, well, do you really care, though? Because there's some of the plants are getting more carbon dioxide. Yeah, but people are dying. If you go where I live in Arizona and you compare the maps, guess what? Not getting greener. It's becoming more of a desert. There are places that are getting greener because of carbon dioxide, places that historically didn't have as much carbon dioxide transmission, and then there are places that aren't. But overall, about 10% greener. But ask yourself why that matters. How does this impact you? I understand, like, if this guy's trying to make an argument on climate science, just take him at what he's saying here. The world is greener. Okay. Then what? So the temperatures aren't rising? We're not having more extreme weather? The air's not dirtier? The water's not dirtier? We don't have trash in our oceans. Oil spills haven't destroyed like marine life. Well, just ignore all of that and just know that in some places, because of more carbon dioxide, it's a little bit greener. Does that help you? Does that help you at all?
From extreme weather have been falling like a stone for this. How often do you hear that deaths from extreme weather have been falling like a stone for a century?
Never. You know why? Could you guys just think critical thinking? It's 2025. Let's go back a century to 1925. Is there any explanation for why people in areas that have extreme weather might not die as often in 2025? Don't tell me muted. I just want to see if you guys get it. What possible explanations could we have for why in 1925 a hurricane was more likely to kill people than it is now? Any ideas? This is crazy. We have all these people in here saying climate's been changing for millions of years. Yet nobody said that the climate was steady and then it started changing. Everybody knows that the climate's been changing for millions of years. Stop saying stuff that everybody agrees on. The argument about climate change is whether or not humans have an impact on the way that the climate is changing. Yeah, it changes. The climate changes every day. The question is, what is our impact on that? And what are the long-term repercussions? Weather notification, yeah. Technology, better built houses, more roads, the ability to, like, airplanes, trains. Yes, people don't die as often from extreme weather events because they know they're coming. That's why. Weather has gotten more extreme. We're having more specifically like hurricanes and tornadoes. We're seeing more often stronger hurricanes and tornadoes. We're seeing that. We know that. But yeah, it's true. It's true. In 1925, when there was no you didn't have a little phone in your hand where you could just be like, oh shit, in 8 hours there's a hurricane that's going to hit land. I better get the fuck out. You didn't know. You're just like, oh, this weather's nice and calm today, as it often is before an extreme storm. And then, oh, fuck, what's that? I can't outrun it. That's why. This is what, but this is him debunking the science. You never do hear that. Yeah, we don't. You know why we don't hear that argument? Because it's fucking stupid. It's the same way, like, you know what? They never talk about how human beings move faster in 2025. Yeah, bitch, because I'm not on a horse anymore. I'm in an airplane. It's much faster. They never talk about how it's way quicker to get from one point to another in 2025 than 1925. That's just because they're lying to you. No, it's because of technology. These folks take the worst possible points. All right, next point for him.
And that insured losses from extreme weather events have been on a multi-decadal decline.
Yeah.
Also not true. If you're talking about like per capita, now there's more people here. Right? There's more advanced warnings here. There's people that have moved away, but I looked at the numbers. None of this is true. What he's saying right here.
On a multi-decadal decline, falling like a stone for activity and greater wilderness, greener wilderness. How often you hear that deaths from extreme weather have been falling like a stone for a century?
Sorry, I went back too far.
And that insured losses from extreme weather events have been on a multi-decadal decline.
Okay, now up until about 2022, they were rising. You know what has caused, they've leveled off now? Do you know what's caused that? Can anybody guess why insurance claims have leveled off since 2022? No, it's not true. It's not a decline. It's been going up. And now it's leveling off. It's not declining. Does anybody know why? Anybody here live in Florida? How fucking easy is it to get insurance right now in Florida? Can you have an insurance claim if you don't have insurance? No, sure as shit can't. Yeah, the insurance companies are leaving. They're leaving the areas where this happens. So yeah, the claims are going down. Does that mean the climate's not changing? No, it's the exact opposite. The insurance companies are saying it used to be something that we could deal with. It used to make financial sense. Now it doesn't make any sense. It's too expensive. So they just get the fuck out. So much so, all these insurance companies left. So Florida had to do socialism and create their own insurance program because companies won't stay there. They're like, yeah, we're not going to pay out these claims. Are you out of your fucking mind? We have an administration right now that's trying to just openly lie to you every day. I can't believe the Republicans I see in here arguing this. It's crazy. What do we have to gain, by the way? What the fuck do we have to gain by saying, oh, the climate's changing? How does that benefit us? How does that benefit anybody? Oh, well, Al Gore will make more money. No matter what anybody does, somebody figures out a way to make money off of it. It's a dumb argument. Don't use that argument. But are you telling me that like climate activists are making more money than oil companies? Doesn't this guy have like the biggest incentive ever to tell you that the climate's not changing? I have no incentive to tell you that the climate is changing. I have no incentive to say that we've got problems. None. The only people that are in fact, every study you can see that like denies science climate, I dare you to find science climate change, scientific climate change. I dare you to find me one of those studies that isn't funded by an oil company. Drop it in the chat. Find me one. They're all funded by big oil. Or some like right-wing group that's funded by big oil, but then they funnel it through. So it's like, oh, that's not funded by big oil. It's the Heritage Foundation. Oh, okay. Yeah, now I believe it. This dude is literally a lobbyist that's been put in this position, and he's on Fox News where propaganda is all they do now. And he's just trying to lie to you. Why? So that his folks can make an extra buck. Does it help you? No. Does it help you that we rely on oil? No, it makes your life more expensive. This is the part of Republicans I'm trying to figure you guys out. You know that things are too expensive. You chose Donald Trump because he was going to bring prices down, and yet you're against renewable energy. You're against free energy. Like, you understand, if you get solar panels, 20 grand, and then it gives you power for 30 years. Eventually, not only does it pay for itself, you start making money because you're not paying your electric bill. Think of just even electric cars, right? You hop in your car. I wish I would have saved this because I'm stealing this from somebody else. So if this sounds familiar, it's from something I saw somebody else say, and I didn't save it. You get in your car, and you turn on that ignition. You get a little spark plug. It ignites, and I'm not like a car guy. Ignites your engine. You got gasoline. It needs fuel. It needs fuel to burn, which of course emits carbon into the air, CO2 into the air. But also you have gears that require oil, and all that stuff has to continually be maintained. So you always have a cost to operate. What would be so wrong with an electric vehicle? The point of that video was he was saying, like, imagine if we only had electric vehicles, right? Every one of you had an electric vehicle, and you're driving your electric vehicle every day, and then some guy rolls into town. He's like, let me tell you something. Let me tell you about this new idea I have. And you're like, all right. And he's like, you know how at night you just plug into your car and you have those solar panels up there and you have a battery, and so you didn't pay for any of that power, and you just plug in your car and you recharge it, and then the next day you just go and you drive? You're like, yeah. You got a better idea than that? And he's like, yeah, I've got this way better idea. How about this? What if you didn't plug in your car? And you're like, oh, I like that. And then every 300 miles, you had to pull over, and you had to get this little hose and stick it in your car, and you fill up gas. And you're like, okay, I could deal with that. I have to charge my car already. He's like, here's the kicker. We're going to charge you like 60 or 70 bucks every time you do that. Oh. And that price is going to go up and down depending on world markets. Oh. And it's going to make the air less healthy to breathe. Oh. And it's going to lead to like changes in your climate. Oh. It's going to make it a little hotter. Oh. And then every 3,000 miles, you got to go in, and they've got to dump out all this oil that, by the way, like they had to dig out of the ocean and out of the ground, and they had to destroy local. They had to destroy like federal land. They had to destroy the environment to access this oil. And every 3,000 miles, you got to go and you got to get an oil change. They got to dump that shit out, and they got to put in new oil. And then they're going to tell you about an air filter, and you got to change your air filter. Probably going to have to change your spark plugs. After about 70,000 miles, you're going to have some more maintenance. There's all these great things that you have to pay for all the time. And you get the added benefit of air that's not as clean, and it's more expensive to operate. Nobody would take that. I don't know why I've never thought to put it that way, but all things equal, if you could have no electric bill, or you could have the electric bill you have now, what would you choose?
Well, I would choose to have the electric bill for capitalism.
If you could have an electric vehicle or a gas-powered vehicle, electric vehicle is powered by the solar panels on your house. You don't pay for that. Which would you choose? High CPU usage. How do I have high CPU usage? Let me look at something here real quick, guys. Give me 1 second. Shouldn't have high. Is the stream choppy? I'm sorry. Let me do something real quick. This is usually a warning I get right before it crashes. See what we have running in the background there. All right. Sorry. Anyways, I thought it was an interesting way to look at it. If you had the option of renewable energy or non-renewable energy, and you had the renewable energy option in front of you, that's the option you would take. You would never choose the option that we have. You guys are the same people that are like, cars would never work. I'm sticking to horses. Traveling in the air, fuck that. Covered wagon. I'm going to do the railroad. Wait a minute. The radio's going to have picture with it too? You could watch it on a box? Are you telling me we're going to have color on our TV? Hold on a minute. You can access books on the internet. You can go on your computer and you can read books. You can watch videos on the internet. Nah, I'm going to stay with where I am. This is what conservatism is, though. Like, by nature, this is who you are. You're anti-innovation, always. CTR. No, I'm not doing it. I checked it. The CPU usage was wrong. It said I was using like 35%, and then I just checked on my computer. I think Streamlabs was just wrong because my computer said I'm using like 14%. So, there was a little bit more of this.
Those are just facts. Instead, we're scaring kids in school. We're promoting an alarmist view of climate change that's simply contrary to the facts. It's a real physical phenomenon that we want to talk about honestly and openly. But we got to get past the scaremonger campaign we got to
get past the part where we talk about how it hurts humans. Like, I want to talk about climate change, but I get real tired of talking about how it hurts humans. So could we just have this conversation and just talk about how it's a little greener some places? Can we just talk about that instead of all this destruction?
You can't do this.
Yeah, penicillin, you say? You guys would still be waving like smelling salts in front of people's faces. That'll fix your ailments.
Because of climate change, or the government's going to stop your plans here to fight climate change. Just nonsense.
Well, that is just incredible. You are so right.
You are so right, says Maria Bartiromo. You are so right. These fucking scientists, they've been telling you that they have data that says the climate is changing, and you now have just proven that it's not because there's greener trees and then a bunch of other shit you said that wasn't true. Cool. Hear about the satellite they wanted to destroy because they didn't like the numbers? I did. Yeah. They're getting rid of now I don't know if that's confirmed. I saw that NASA there's pressure on NASA to get rid of some satellites that are monitoring climate data. There's conflicting sources there. Like, they say that it's outdated. I've seen people in the industry saying that they are outdated. They need to be replaced. But it wouldn't shock me if they didn't replace them. If they just said, we're going to replace them, and then they didn't. Yeah. This is the thing. Like, eventually you get to a place where either everybody wakes the fuck up and goes, hey, all right, I know we went along with these lies for a while, but like, it's starting to become too obvious. Or we wind up as North Korea. And ironically, it's the freedom-loving patriots that are taking us down this road. The people that are like, don't censor me. Now you guys are censoring science. You're censoring language. You're censoring TV. There's nothing you guys aren't willing to censor now at this point. So it is interesting that you folks who have been in hysterics about being canceled and about censorship, now you're literally trying to just censor anything that doesn't agree with you. Speaking of dipshits who want to censor everything and who have questionable choices in jeans, people who maybe shouldn't wear skinny jeans and then take pictures of them. I was disappointed. I called in the Discord the other day. I said I didn't know that they made any jeans, like INNIE. I don't know if that's the way to spell it. And nobody got that joke. And I was devastating because I think that's a really good joke when talking about Nancy Mace. But here was Nancy Mace, who's running for governor in South Carolina. And she's talking about some of the things that she would support. And they're as crazy as you think.
To remove fluoride from our water. Fluoride from water. I would support any action to remove fluoride from our water and also ban chemtrails. Like, we should.
Listen, I've lived in South Carolina, and I've been to Darlington, South Carolina. I lived in Goose Creek. I lived in Columbia. I've been up in Greenville. I'm just telling you. There's a lot of places I've been in South Carolina that could use some fluoride. Not taking care of teeth is the last thing you guys need in South Carolina. Also, you can't get rid of chemtrails because they don't exist. That's going to be difficult. This is non-existent. Amy said electric car batteries are now recyclable. They last about 300,000 miles and are similar cost to replace as a transmission in most cases. And yet they're difficult to get in America, but China's doing a good job with them. Amy also said claims down in government not going to bail them out. SP investors about to invest. Esbeck said, I feel bad for future generations. Trump's climate change denial and vaccine denial will harm them the most. Tony said, GOP, guardians of the P3DOs. Illusion said, what point do anti-DJT jump out of the boiling pot? At what point do anti-DJT jump out of the boiling pot? Never. Probably never. All right. So she's going to get rid of fluoride and chemtrails.
Do that. Two other states are doing it. Tennessee, I think, recently did it as well. Florida just did it. We will follow. Again,
Notoriously known for following good science, Tennessee and Florida. That's who we're following.
I want us to lead. I don't want to be following. But if we have to follow other states until we get there, we will do it. But I support it. Yep.
And when I say leading, what I really mean is going backwards about 40 years to a point where it seems new to some of you people. Water vapor trails from jet engines. Yeah, I think that's what chemtrails. They think that they're just... What happens when you ban chemtrails, I wonder? Because Nancy Mace and Republicans, they won't back down. So what happens when they ban chemtrails and then there's still vapor trails? Are they going to ban airplanes? Well, we can't stop the chemtrails that don't exist. So now, sorry, we're back to trains. Like, if the GOP has their way, like, they're just going to get mad at all technology and we're going to be back to walking. Like, you'll either walk or if you have money, you're going to be riding a horse. That's what they're just trying to go backwards as far as possible. I also want to remind you that Nancy Mace, one of the reasons she's doing this is because, one, she's a media whore. All she cares about is the media. If you go watch her rallies, she's much like this guy who spends like 60% of her rallies talking about how the media covers her. But I do want to remember our MAGA friends in South Carolina what your Lord and Savior said about Nancy Mace.
In the 1st Congressional District, you have another horrendous rhino known as Crazy Nancy Mace. 2 years ago, she begged for my endorsement, and I pledged, and she pledged to be America first all the way. She's going to be, I'm going to be America first. She went to New York and stood in front of the magnificent Trump Tower. Has anyone ever heard of Trump Tower?
It's not that magnificent.
And did a commercial insinuating that I was endorsing her. She's standing over in front of Trump Tower in New York. I'm saying, can you believe this? It was untruthful, just like everything else she does. Thankfully, this June, you have the chance to dump these grandstanding losers and replace them with 2 rock-solid America First champions.
Yeah, dump them. Make sure to dump Nancy Mace. She'll be back in front of Trump Tower. That was one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen. She loved Trump so much, or she wanted his endorsement so bad. She literally went to Trump Tower to meet with him, and he wouldn't. So she stood outside Trump Tower and talked about how great he was and how great Trump Tower was. Like, have some self-respect, Republicans. Just a little. Like, every once in a while, have a little bit of self-respect. You don't have to kneel down and suck this dude's dick every single day. Have just like a little bit of self-respect. Rebel Heart said, frog-flavored water is the energy drink I didn't know I needed. Let me check mine. Adam said the plane is fitting. They should change the beast from a Cadillac limo to a brown van spray painted with free candy on the side while they're at it. Sorry, guys. I'm going to try and get better at reading these messages in real time. And Shannon said, for the best daily news show around. Thank you. Just a reminder, I am a news show and not an activist. Just in case you hear anybody being upset at me for my lack of activism. And Marianne, thanks for the super chat. Amy Lynn said, Mace admitted to getting gender-affirming care. Big old tatas. Facts. All right. Let's see. This was a video I just came across on Twitter, but I thought it was interesting. This is just the reality of America. This is a man talking about every time he gets a raise, how the insurance company's like, fuck you.
What are you pissed about now?
Same thing 2 years in a row. I got a raise. It was awesome. And Blue Cross Blue Shield got word that I got a raise and said, oh, fuck that. I want all the raise plus $217 a month. Insurance premiums are up 91%. So you get a raise, which is good, and then the insurance is like, fuck you. It's like a cake with nuts in it. It's like free pop, and you get up there, and it's fucking Pepsi. I've already talked about that. It's syrupy, and it tastes like shit. It's like you get out of the shower, you're squeaky clean, and then you're like, oh, I got a shit.
I'll read the 99% of the comments that disagree with my lies when you guys start paying me to read your comments, and when any of you guys reaches down, grabs your nuts, and comes up here to debate me, which we offer you to do every single day. You can message GenDub1 on Discord, and you can come up here and debate it. I'm not going to debate you whiny little bitches who can't form functional sentences in the chat every day. Stop being a bitch, grab your nuts, message Jen on Discord. You can come up here and talk to me. Are you guys all that afraid of talking to human beings? Or you can pay me and I'll read what you have to say.
And you got fucking diarrhea. You get out of the shower and you're clean, which is good, and then you get diarrhea, which is bad. And I hope every fucking person at Blue Cross Blue Shield gets diarrhea. Can I hope that? Can I say that?
I think we have some people here that work for Blue Cross Blue Shield. Sorry about that.
I'm not wishing violence. I don't hope them ill. I just hope they get the shits. And it's so bad they have to go to the ER, which is a $250 copay. And while they're standing there in soggy shoes, it looks like the fucking Denny Moore factory had an accident. Like Louis Armstrong meets Montezuma's Revenge, and it turns into a soft serve machine. Fuck those guys. And I hope whatever medicine fixes it isn't covered. I had surgery last year, and I was in such bad pain, the doctor called in a pain suppository. You heard that right, suppository. And it wasn't covered. If you hurt so bad you're willing to stuff the medicine in your asshole, it should be free. So, yeah, I'm in a bad mood. Fuck you, Blue Cross Blue Shield. It should be Brown Cross, Brown Shield. They all get the shits.
Let's make sure to keep private health insurance, though. It's going really, really well for everybody. All right, let's go here. This was an interesting dilemma Trump had yesterday. I didn't show it, but RFK yesterday came out and with absolutely no evidence said mRNA vaccines don't work, so we're not funding them anymore. He just said like, BARDA decided. I went and I looked at BARDA. I don't see any scientific evidence that they're looking at. Like, basically what they're saying is that COVID was able to mutate so often that the mRNA vaccines weren't always like super efficient. You know what else didn't work very well for COVID? Fucking everything. But you know, the countries that handled it better than us, the one difference between us and the other countries that handled COVID better than us is they didn't have a bunch of dipshit Republicans running around breathing in each other's faces pretending it was fake. That was the real problem in America, is that we had all these dipshit Republicans who dropped out of high school and turned on Joe Rogan, and they're like, yeah, you're a pussy if you wear a mask. And then they just ran around like, dude, open your mouth, let me breathe in it. And then they just did. I have Republican friends. Now, many of you might not know this about Republicans, but during COVID, Republicans used to lick each other's tongues. They won't tell you that. They're all going to be in the chat right now, and they're going to lie. They're going to say that they didn't do that, but they were called tongue-licking parties, and they would get together in IHOP parking lots and in Flying J bathrooms, and they would lick each other's tongues. That's an absolute fact. It 100% happened to all Republicans. In fact, I didn't get to go, but I have on good authority that in order to get into the RNC convention, you were required to lick 8 other people's tongues just to get in. That's why COVID sucked in America. That's why it lasted so long. When people are like, I can't believe these variants keep mutating. Have you seen Alabama? Every fucking person that doesn't live in a big city in Alabama is a mutant. Yeah, I can't believe that it mutated. I can't believe it. Shocker. I remember when COVID first started, I went to Utah. Oh, hey.
Hey, you know, we've gotten some things for miss.
Fuck TikTok.
You know,
Fuck TikTok. I don't care.
I'm just
They can ban
throwing
me.
that out there.
I don't care. They could ban me.
I'm starting to feel like you're doing this on purpose.
I might be. Today I might be.
You might be.
We're gonna burn this shit down.
Well, since I'm here, I'm just gonna pause you from the.
God damn it! I was just getting going.
Sorry, the bathroom tongue licking I think was a bit much. So maybe we just needed to give you a little break just for half a second.
This is devastating.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. This is worse than blue balls. This is my version of blue balls. Getting interrupted mid rant. That's devastating.
I'm sorry. You're making a lot of work for C-Note that I don't think is really fair.
He's not doing anything. He's fine. He's fine.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, so we do the show each day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. If Jay doesn't get banned.
For Republicans, spit in my mouth isn't sexual. It's weird. It's just like a thing they do. It's not even a. They stopped shaking each other's hands.
I mean, some people are into that sort of thing. I guess I'm not, but some are. Anyways, you can subscribe wherever you're watching from. That gift goal in the top left-hand corner. We can't say the words, so someone asked the V, the C, and the P. If you guys could help send some donations there, like I said, we do this as a job. You guys can come up and talk to Jay in real time. And how you do that is if you look next to the V, that is my Discord username. You can add me on Discord, and I can bring you up to talk to Jay. So you don't have to be in the comments just saying things and yelling into the void.
You can always find Jen right next to a V every time.
No. But no. Anyways, like I said, if you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. I mentioned how you guys can come up and talk. Check out our link tree in the bio. We have our most platforms, most socials. We got merch. Jay has Cameo, and we upload these episodes to Spotify. So yeah, help us out with gift goal, and hopefully Jay doesn't do his best to get us banned. That would be cool.
Now, like, I'm gonna try, but like now my gut instinct is to just like go scorched earth, right? Like I'm self-destructive.
Working with you is like herding cats. I've said it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But yeah. Want to hear a joke about construction sites?
I do.
I'm still working on it.
Stupid. Amy said, Jay, to be fair, government dependency is highest in red states. They can't afford the $5. That's true. That's a good point. All right. So anyways, by the way, on the desk here is a gift from Tim Cook to Trump. It's like a gold-plated iPhone. I do want, before I play this, I do want to point out that Donald Trump is the most easily bought person you'll ever see in your life. Apple is not moving their manufacturing to America. They're I think the screen is made here, and there's like one other part that is made here, and then it's assembled. They haven't done anything. This $600 billion that they're claiming they're going to invest is just a hypothetical number. Literally every year under every presidency, Apple commits to donate money. And Trump just tells them to say it's a bigger number, and then they do it, and then they tell him he's great. Because Tim Cook doesn't fucking care about the country. He just wants Trump to drop the tariffs. And so Tim Cook comes in here, kisses Trump's ass, and Trump is going to give breaks for Tim Cook. He's going to announce it in here. He's going to announce, without Tim Cook knowing, like, Tim gives him a gift, says nice things, and Trump's like, you know what? I'm going to carve out an exception for you. But before he does all of that, he's asked about his greatest accomplishment and how RFK is taking a shit on Trump's greatest accomplishment.
Force behind Operation Warp Speed, these mRNA vaccines that are the gold standard.
Right.
Now your health secretary is pulling back all the funding for research. He's saying that the risks outweigh the benefits, which puts him at odds with
Research
the
on
entire
what?
medical community and with you. What is going
Yeah.
on?
Research on what?
Into mRNA vaccines.
Well, we're going to look at that. We're talking about it. And
hey, bitch, you already did. You guys already announced it. What do you mean you're going to look at it? You already did. Your guy made a video for it. It sucked. It was pretty boring. But so who's going to tell him they already did? I guess he missed the memo.
They're doing a very good job, and that is a pass. Operation Warp Speed was, whether you're Republican or Democrat, considered one of the most incredible things ever done in this country. The efficiency, the way it was done, the distribution, everything about it has been amazing.
Yeah.
But that was now a long time ago, and we're on to other things. But we are speaking about it. We have meetings about it tomorrow at 12 o'clock, and we'll determine. We're looking for other answers to other problems, to other sicknesses and diseases, and I think we're doing really well. Yes, ma'am, please.
MK Ultra Instinct, I feel bad for you, bud. You're in here begging for attention every day. We gave you a chance, and you're just like a crazy person. What if you just stopped trying to teach people some shit and you learned some new shit? You're not smart enough to articulate even the things you believe. When you speak, nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. But there's Trump not knowing that they already apparently announced that they're doing away with the mRNA vaccine for no reason that I could come up with. Let's see. This was well, let me skip this actually real quick. I'm going to go to some longer. It's a longer video, so let me skip it and get through the headlines. Here's Janine Pirro, who, by the way, I'm going to say something nice-ish about Judge Janine here. I think she stopped drinking. I've never heard her so lucid. She was deep in the wine every show at Fox, and she came back here, and she did complain about having to work so much. I think she doesn't. She complained that she has to buy her own water when she works for the government, and then she accidentally points out that nobody who is serious about their law career wants to work for this administration because they know that it will destroy them.
Hearing from my sources at the DOJ that there is a very, very big problem with staffing. Assistant attorney generals on down saying we have great plans, we're doing great things, but we're down like 2/3 staff.
Yeah, I'm
What's
down
going on?
90 prosecutors.
Why is that happening?
60 investigators
Why?
and paralegals, because nobody cared. I'm telling you right now, nobody cared enough to make sure that office was running. I'm going to have that office.
Who didn't? Who didn't care? Everybody quit or got fired. She's so mad now. I have to work because nobody wants to fucking work with us because it's a shit show over there. And you have to sign a loyalty pledge to Donald Trump before you join the Department of Justice. This sucks.
Running. If you want a job in the nation's capital, in the premier office, the largest U.S. attorney's office, contact me.
Judge,
She's begging for job applications on Fox. Please, somebody come take the workload off me. Draco said, why not try the Rainbow app? 100% of the gift profit goes to the streamers and not so many restrictions. It's the same problem we have with everything. You need big content creators to move there first. If the bigger content creators don't go there first, we can try all we want. But if I took all the audience to a different app tomorrow, we would lose most of the audience. It's just unfortunately the way that it goes. But that sounds way better. I am tired of these platforms taking like 30% of the money that you make. That does suck. Seems like they should have enough with advertising to cover that. There was another town hall that didn't go well, and I only have this clip today. This is Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith, which is like the widest name I've ever heard. I can't tell what he's wearing on his feet. He appears to have borrowed a pair of Nancy Mace's pants to go do this town hall. But listen, this is where I get this is why I'm worried about the Republican Party. This guy's about to say stuff that he should know isn't true. And he's going to say it really confidently. And what I'm starting to realize is that the average dumbass that just repeats talking points and shows up in these lives and in TikTok lives and in the comment section, the people that got elected say the same things. He's just wrong here. And it's going to be to any of you who can read, this is going to be alarming. He's a pastor? Of course he's a pastor. I only believe what Jesus says.
sure all the people coming to Camp Atterbury have had due process?
So due process is in this situation is, are you here legally?
That isn't due
That is due
process.
process. Yes, it is.
Due
So
process
did
is
we-
getting arrested.
Is it? Is that due process? Somebody explain to me. If you break the law, that's due process. Excuse me? That's the accusation. That's not due process. That's the accusation. Right? That's not a process that you are due.
And charged with a crime and seeing a judge, and these people are not seeing a judge. That's not true.
They don't have a right to see a judge.
Why?
They came here illegally.
Except for they do, and I know that because that's what the Supreme Court said. Fucking T-Moo, Seth MacFarlane over here. They don't have a right to. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. You silly bitch. How the fuck is this guy in government? We have to have a test to get in government. We just can't do this anymore. We cannot withstand another wave of MAGA dipshits. We have to have standardized tests. We have to have continuing education. We got to figure something the fuck out because these guys never know. And they're so goddamn confident when they're wrong that it tricks people. People are like, oh, well, you think the lieutenant governor doesn't know? Somebody in the chat's going to say that. Some Republicans are going to be like, well, you're just a streamer. Like, he's the lieutenant governor. Yeah, that's the scary part. I'm just a streamer. This bitch can't read. How the fuck do you get to a point where you're saying like that somebody here illegally doesn't have due process? How'd you figure out they were here illegally then? What's the process to determine if they're here illegally? That's due process, right?
They came here illegally.
Excuse
they came
me?
here. So when the Japanese were bombing Pearl Harbor, did we give them due process to actually see a judge?
No, we put them in.
No, no, we didn't. But bad example for a couple reasons. The ones bombing Pearl Harbor were never coming back. When they ran out of ammo, they crashed their own planes. And also, some of them we shot down. And they were bombing Pearl Harbor. Now, if these folks had been bombing a military base, nobody would say, you get due process, because they didn't immigrate here illegally. They weren't here working illegally. They were bombing our bases. But you know what we did do that was similar? Ironically, he brought this up. We took anybody from Japan and we threw them in a concentration camp. Ironically, we did the same thing. Same people. Raise your hand if you think the Jewish or the Japanese concentration camps in America were bad. Most people would say bad. But when we do the exact same thing now, and you guys go, no, this is different. Yeah, that's what they said too. Oh, this isn't. No, we have to do this. We have to. There's no other option. You got to put people in cages. You got to pull working people out of their homes, rip them from their family. You got to go throw them in a cage. What else are we gonna do? The IQ level has not risen. You guys got to. Let me just say this, and I don't mean this disrespectfully. I really don't. Republicans, it's an olive branch. Let's just level this. I will try and be nicer to all of you, but you guys have to stop inbreeding. It's not fair. It's not fair for me to try and cover this all the time with the MAGA base. I'll be nicer, but you gotta stop fucking your cousins. You have to. And by the way, school goes till you're 18, not when you're 12. You got to go through at least all of high school. No more cousin fucking, and you got to do high school. And then I'm going to be a little bit nicer.
Concentration camps.
They invaded our country.
We put them in
stopped them from
concentration
invading
camps.
our
Have you heard?
country. See, this is crazy. Hey, how many illegals have you brought into your house?
It just quits. It's just false. Ah! Well, you bring them in then. Oh, okay. Okay. Do they have due process? No. Yeah, they do. Well, you let them into your house then. Oh, okay. They're all dipshits. All of them. He just like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he was smarter before he restricted all blood flow to his testicles. I don't know. Maybe at one point this was an intelligent man. It appears that his head is swelling. So maybe there is a problem there. But like, that's the crazy thing about MAGA is like your dumbest MAGA friend, the one that you're just like, Jesus Christ, man, read a book. He could be governor in any Republican state. He could just show up and say dumb shit, and they're like, I like that. Yeah, I do like that. That guy ought to be governor. He's got it going. somebody who wore skinny jeans once upon a time. I hope those pictures don't surface because somebody could probably play a picture of me in skinny jeans and say the same shit. And I think that would be fair. I would laugh at that. Fox is on an all-out now attack on the census. This is, by the way, part of Project 2025, legitimately in Project 2025. Here are the key points that are referenced in Project 2025 about the census. While all of you Republicans right now today, you hear this from Fox News and you hear this from Republicans and you go, yeah, look, we didn't want to redo the census, but you guys did this. You guys, you left the state, you did this. And so, this is the best we could come up with. Hard to explain why you've had this plan that's in Project 2025. But by the way, this idea started being floated as far back as I remember being a Republican under Romney. This same idea was floated under Romney, and it's in Project 2025. The bullet points are, in Project 2025, they talk about politicizing the Census Bureau. And they start with the statement that, the Census Bureau is politicized. That's just where they start. They don't tell you why it's politicized. They just say it's politicized. So in order to fix the politicization of the Census Bureau, they need, and I quote, strong political leadership. In order to depoliticize the Census Bureau, we need strong political leadership. And what they need to do is align the Census Bureau's mission with conservative principles, including increasing political appointee positions at the agency. It's too politicized. We need to make it way more politicized. Then addition of a citizenship question. Now, this part, admittedly, smart move by Republicans, dirty move, fucked up move, and further evidence that Republicans want less people to vote. Even like Republicans don't want all legal people to vote. Part of the reason that they cite for adding the citizenship question in their own plan, and by the way, in Agenda 47, which was Trump's plan, is that by adding a question about, are you a citizen, researchers have said this would lower the response rates, particularly on immigrant families, where you have temporary status, and mixed status households, which would result in by every study in a less accurate count. It's intended to impact representation and federal funding allocations due to redistricting, and then potentially leads to pre-gerrymandered districts. You get that data early, and it's easier to gerrymander your districts. They also want to review of race and ethnicity standards. It says the Project 2025 recommends a thorough review of recent updates to statistical standards for collecting race and ethnicity data, expressing conservative concerns that these updates could favor progressive political agendas. Don't talk about diversity. It's too progressive. And then they want to eliminate advisory committees. In Project 2025, it proposes eliminating Census Bureau advisory committees. So these are bipartisan committees or nonpartisan committees that are supposed to go over the process at the Census Bureau and make sure that it's not being done in a deceitful way. And they want to get rid of those advisory committees and replace them with political loyalists. And what they do is they focus on making sure that the Census Bureau goes to conservative communities. They want to keep them out of communities that they don't want represented. So they skew the data and they make it seem like there are more conservatives than there really are, so that they can adjust their districting. This is all part of the plan. So when you wonder how it is that Fox News and every Republican you've ever heard of and every political content creator on the right, when you're wondering how they all came to this conclusion recently that we need to redo the census, despite the fact that you've never fucking heard them talk about the census ever, if you're wondering how suddenly they all have the same idea, it's because it's part of the plan. It didn't matter if the folks from Texas fled the state or not, they were going to do this. And now we have Jesse Waters here with an all-out war on the census.
The bejesus out of these maps and just destroy Democrat representation where we can.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're in a war now. We're in a war. They screwed around, and now they're about to find out.
Can somebody explain to me what the Democrats did to screw around here? If you're going to say gerrymandering, everybody does that. Democrats tried to end gerrymandering. Republicans said no. The reason I think a lot of these folks are so confident, and I think the Sydney Sweeney ad is representative of this, what conservatives always do. And actually, if you go watch Andrew Wilson's opening statement when in my last debate, what they always do is they create a straw man position that nobody holds, and then they fight against that position. So Jesse's saying, hey, we're just playing the game that you started. And dipshit Republicans that can't read or don't read go to their friends and they go, yeah, dude, the Dems totally started this. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. And then they say that in debates. And then if you ask one of them, how did the Democrats start this? They go, I don't know. I don't really defend any of this stuff. I just repeat what I'm told. And I don't think that I repeat what I'm told. I thought this was my own idea, but it wasn't my own idea. There was no war that was started. The Democrats weren't doing anything crazy. This is 100% the Republicans starting a war on demographics. And the part that I think Democrats need to figure the fuck out is that they have a plan for this. What's going to happen now is they are going to say, oh, the census is destroyed, and they're going to chip away at Republicans' faith in the census. All of you already think this. Tell me I'm wrong, Republicans. If you're honest right now, you already think that the census is wrong and that it's biased and it should be redone. None of you know why. None of you could come up here and explain in any detail what happened to the census that made it biased. In fact, the one argument that you guys have is that it counts illegal immigrants. You know who that affects the most? California. You know who it affects? So California gets more representation. They get about 1.8 million more people that count on the census that are there illegally. You know who's number 2? Texas. Texas gets 1.6 million extra people. You know who's third? Florida. About 1.2 million people. Then you have New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. This has been benefiting you. Your 2 biggest states are influenced, and you guys get more representation out of those states because of illegal immigrants. Crazy, right? Isn't that crazy? But it's a left-wing thing. It's a left-wing thing.
Wrote the rules, their rules, right? California, Republicans have 40% of the vote share, and yet they have only 17% of the congressional seats. I think in Massachusetts, it's 35% of statewide vote. They have 0 seats in Massachusetts, Maryland.
I want to point out Mandy Rose's comment here. The Democrats did start this. What's your proof? Democrat liberals are being so unnervingly insane nowadays. I'm not sure what's wrong with them. What's wrong with us is you're fucking stupid. I just told you what you would do, and you did it. You guys are so goddamn programmed that I just said they're not going to have a defense. They're going to say, you guys started this, and then they're going to say, oh, liberals are crazy. That's it. None of you could explain it. You believe something, and you don't know why, and then you did it. You just do it. This is why we're insane right now, because we can tell you what you're going to do before you do it, and then you do it as if you're not programmed. No, I came up with this on my own. Did you? Did you come up with it on your own? How the fuck did I know you were about to do it? Every one of you. It's crazy. Some of you have been coming here for years. Not one of you ever has brought up the census. I used to only do debate, and I would debate 4, 5, 6 hours a day. Not once did a Republican come up and talk about the census. Not once this year have any of you mentioned the census. And you're doing it now, and then when I said you won't know how to explain it, you're going to go, it's common sense. You have no critical thinking. You guys are all insane. Trump derangement syndrome. And none of you are going to offer an explanation for it because you don't know either. And you're too chicken shit to admit that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And that's why our country's fucked right now. That's why everybody else is looking at our country going, oh, fuck. They're going to let the dumbest guy ever be an authoritarian leader? How's that happening? I'll tell you, if you're listening from another country, let me tell you how this is happening. Red states are dumb, and they're dumb on purpose. They don't want people to learn about science. They don't want people to believe in data. They don't want people to believe in polling. They don't want people to know about what's in our Constitution. They want them dumb on purpose. This is a bunch of hysterical, emotionally stunted human beings who just get programmed and don't know they're programmed. You're AI. Like, I don't know, we've done AI since Ronald Reagan. It's been in this country. It just was done on humans. But we realized really early that all you have to do is say a couple catchphrases where you're the hero and somebody that looks different than you is the bad guy, and you're like, oh, that makes sense to me. I'm good, they're bad. I'll just repeat dumb shit all fucking day. Once again, GenDub1, there's the Venmo name. You don't have to pay anything. Message her on Discord. You can come up here. You can tell me I'm wrong, but none of you will do it. You're going to sit in the comments and you go, this guy's crazy. This guy's emotional. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Every fucking day. It doesn't alarm any of you that I told you what you would say and then you said it. Like, you don't even have self-control. If somebody predicted my response, I'd be like, fuck, I'm definitely not going to say that. They were right, but I don't want them to be right, so I'm definitely not going to say what he just said. But you guys are like, oh, he's wrong. And then you type out exactly what I just said. This is how I know you're wrong. Okay. It's crazy. Just read something. Read a fucking book. Turn off your TV. If every Republican in this country lost access to the internet and they were required to research, the Republican Party would die within a month. If none of you were allowed to listen to Fox News or to listen to Joe Rogan, if all of you were just required to come up with your opinions on your own, your entire party would die overnight. Because you would realize quickly the difference between the two parties. Now, Democrats are full of some pretty fucking shitty people. And they're full of people who tell you they care about you, and they don't fucking care about you. And they tell you that they're all about the principles of democracy, and then they sell out to corporations. 100% true. Bad party. Bunch of shitty people in the Democratic Party. But what they can't do is they can't lie to us about things that are obviously true. They can't do that. That's the only difference. The corruption is relatively similar. But the reason you can't do that is because we have an educated base. The more educated you are, meaning the more, not the more school you went to, meaning the more data you consume, the more problem-solving activities you go through, the more research you do. And I don't mean research like, I read something and I agree with it. I mean, what does this mean? Is this true? Is there anything to back this up? That happens on the left. That's why all of the people on the left that are most respected are scientists, right? People in the medical field, academics, and all the people that are most respected on your side are like, I know that Jesus will be here in 10 years, and if you don't stop gaying each other, then Jesus is going to come sooner and he going to get you. Like, everybody, all your prominent people are just worried about like who you're fucking. And all of our prominent people are doing research. And that's why you're easy to manipulate, and it's harder to manipulate this way. Where we get manipulated on our side is the emotional stuff, where they're like, we're in it for you. We're here to fight with you. And then Chuck Schumer's like, just kidding. We're giving all your money to Israel. Psych. And we're like, fuck. Well, at least he believes in science. But you guys are like, he believes in science? That's the devil's witchcraft. I don't believe in that. Only Jesus Christ can tell me the truth. And then Jesus doesn't tell you the truth. You know who tells you the truth? Some like redneck pastor. And I'm going to get to that. By the way, if any of you think this is overblown, just wait till we get to the meat of the show today. Just fucking wait. What I'm saying right now about Republicans and about like the most prominent Republicans doesn't even come close to how crazy what I'm going to show you later that Mike Johnson and prominent Republicans are doing. It's batshit fucking crazy. And you guys are probably still going to buy into it. But there's a reason. Have you ever thought why your states are the most uneducated? Why your states are the most poor? How did you get here? How did you get to a position where you're like, fuck all these liberals. They got all the money and all the education. They're living longer. Yeah, how do you think that happened? They're stealing all our money. Bro, you work at Jiffy Lube. You don't have any extra money to steal. That road you drove to Jiffy Lube on was paid for by Democrats. You know that state you live in? Let's say you live in Alabama. Or let's pick Georgia. I live in Georgia. We're a red state. My kids go to public school. Yeah, who paid for that? Atlanta. I fucking hate Atlanta. All those liberals, they're ruining our state. No, bitch, they're paying for your state. Your state would go under if you didn't have Democrats. It is absolutely insane to watch you guys dick ride for like billionaires. The billionaires give us all the jobs. That's why we can't do anything to the billionaires. And then you look around you and everything around you is paid for by Democrats and big city liberals. And you're like, fuck those liberals. Meanwhile, the billionaire that you work for at Jiffy Lube, he's making billions of dollars and not trickling that down. Probably not billions. Jiffy Lube's probably not making billions. Millions of dollars. You're not getting shit. And you're like, these fucking liberals, that's the reason I can't afford anything anymore. They're driving up the prices. Just read a little, just like a little bit. Just do this. What don't I like? I'm a Republican. What don't I like? I don't like that I don't have enough money. Okay. Why don't I have enough money? Do you work for somebody? Let's say no. You work for yourself. Okay. Now you work for yourself. Why don't you have enough money? Where they're taxing the shit out of me. Well, you're in the lowest tax state. All the red states are the lowest tax states. How is that possible? How is the states with the lowest taxes the poorest? How does that work out? How is it that you look at San Francisco, you're like, I'd never live in that liberal hellhole. It's so expensive to live there, and yet people can live there. They must have a lot of money, huh? That's weird. And why do they have money? Because every time you post something on Facebook like, these motherfuckers are putting chemtrails in our air. They're turning all our kids trans. Somebody at Facebook in San Francisco is like, appreciate the engagement. Now I'm going to sell ads on this. And all that shit you do, all that complaining about liberals that you do all the time, there's just a bunch of liberals in San Francisco fucking cashing checks. I make $400,000 to do moderation at Facebook. Dope. Thanks for the money, redneck America. You just can't figure it out. This, by the way, this isn't a difficult puzzle. This is a 50-piece puzzle. You guys are like, I don't know what to do. All the shapes don't go together. I can only put the squares together. They got all these extra hoops. I can't put it together. If you put together what's going on, the reason that your states don't have money is because they demonize education. Oh, we got to get rid of the Department of Education. We got to put Jesus back in school. Yeah, that's a real marketable skill. Imagine going to a job interview. How would you solve a dispute between two workers who are whatever in an office dispute? Well, I would sit down with them together and we would hold hands and we would pray to Jesus. What would you do if you were leading this department and you had a negative budget? What if you've gone over your budget? How would you correct that? Well, what I would do to correct that is I would just let everybody know that really Jesus is in control, and so he wanted that negative budget, and so it's not really my fault. Jesus is running it. That's why you guys can't get good jobs. Put Jesus in school and nobody's going to hire you. But why does that work for the Republicans? They want you as dumb as possible. It's crazy. They're literally telling you, hey, we got to keep you guys dumb. If we start educating you, we are in trouble. So we're going to cut all sorts of education funding. We're going to get rid of this climate science shit. You guys are getting sick because that's what God wants, not because your air is bad to breathe. It's not that data center pumping out like billows of smoke that's killing you. It's just God's will. Yeah, that's what they told me in school, is that if you die as Jesus wanted you, that was your time. They want you to do that. There's a reason Trump is pretending to be a Christian right now, because he gets to do awesome shit. You know how fucking cool it'd be to be the president, like a fake president or a fake Christian president? You know how cool that is? Hey, are those prostitutes? Well, sometimes the Lord uses imperfect people for his agenda. And his agenda is what? Well, his agenda is removing brown people from our country and making sure that our little girls don't turn into little boys. That's Jesus' main agenda. If you read the Bible, you know he hated illegal immigration and he hated trans people. And so he's using an imperfect man in Donald Trump, who's we give money to, that he uses to fly all around the world on a private jet. And he gets rid of these pesky immigrants. That's why. That's why your states are dumb, because they want you dumb. It's why you're dumb. So you're dumb because they made you dumb. And you could be smart. I came from a state that tries to make you dumb. Okay? And then I left the state and I was like, oh shit. A lot of that shit's not true. And here we are. All right.
Maryland is very similar in terms of those numbers, but of course, congressional districting.
P. Willie, no Jesus in school, but no teaching hand jobs and reach arounds to kindergartners. I agree. You would get 100% agreement there. Nobody is teaching hand jobs and reach arounds to kindergartners. It was weird that was your first thought. That was weird. It's a weird thing that you started thinking, that you think we're teaching children to be like sexually active in kindergarten. That's weird, man. Nobody teaches that. That doesn't exist anywhere. This is a great example of exactly what I'm talking about. They want you fucking stupid and you oblige. You're like, yeah, well, I don't want Jesus in school, but, you know, I'd rather have Jesus than them teaching my kid in kindergarten to give a hand job. Yeah, they're not. Nobody's doing that. That's a straw man made so that your position doesn't look so fucking stupid. Because your position is stupid. The Republican position is legitimately stupid. Like, there are Republicans all over this country who are saying we need to teach the Bible as history. As history. We need to teach that there was this worldwide flood. We need to teach that a bush that's on fire can give you rules to live by. We got to teach all that shit. We got to teach that if you leave a city and you look back at the gay people in the city, if you look back on them, you may turn into a pillar of salt. That's history. And the only way they can get you to agree to do all this dumb shit that hurts you, like giving tax cuts to billionaires and defunding education and ruining the environment and not agreeing to, or not investing in sustainable energy and not offering you a living wage and not taxing the rich at an appropriate level, is because instead of talking to you like I'm talking to you and using data, they're like, yeah, but if you don't put Jesus in school, they're going to teach your kids to give each other hand jobs in kindergarten. Your little girl's going to come back a little boy. And you're like, that does sound bad. Yeah, I guess I'm with Trump then. Again, like, I don't know how the information gets into your head. I told you what you were going to do. I told you what Republicans were doing, and then you just did it. You just did the thing I told you that they do to you. You did the programming. Stop it. Get a hold of yourself.
Also comes down to the census, which did not count properly in the last census, and also counts illegal immigrants for representation in Washington, even though they legally cannot vote. So I say that they should redo the census, get an accurate vote, and not count illegal immigrants for accurate representation of American voters in every state throughout the country.
Oh, is that why Democrats like the migrants? Because it helps them reapportion their votes?
It does make you wonder why they're being so hyperbolic about the situation right now.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it? It does make you wonder. Weird that everybody has the exact same opinion as Jesse Waters, and they didn't hold that opinion 10 days ago. They didn't even know, you guys didn't even know you had this opinion about the census 10 days ago, and here we are. Amy said, factually, kitty corn as well as transgender corn consumption highest in conservative states. Yep. I think in the last month, we've had, I think, like 7 Republican members or members of the Republican Party, not like voters, elected members of the Republican Party who have been caught abusing children. To my knowledge, I don't know of a single Democrat this year that has been caught abusing children, and it's like 20 or 30 Republicans. But keep telling yourselves that we're the ones abusing children. Amy said, is that one of the Grindr Playboy conservatives? Let me catch up with Jen here too. Izzy, thanks for joining the dollar train. Pink said, some lighthearted news. I just found out that the USDA is now using speakers blasting Thunderstruck and an argument from the Marriage Story to scare wolves away from cattle in Oregon, California. Why don't they just play Nancy Mace talking about chemtrails? Jamar said, Jen definitely likes it when her sexual partner spit in her mouth. Don't believe her lies. God damn. Rebel Heart said they didn't do tongue licking at the RNC. They just registered for Grindr. No, they did both. It's both. There we go. Check mine over quick. Caitlin, thanks for joining the dollar train. Tony said, keep doing the MAGA voice. It hurt. My throat hurts from doing the MAGA voice. And Eric said, I got $100 if Jen could go without saying Jen, do you say a lot? Are you an ummer? I've never noticed. I'm trying to say like less often. I don't like to go back and
I don't know.
I don't like going back and watching clips of myself because every time I do, I say like way too much, and I'm working on that too. All right,
Yeah, I do on occasion if I forget what I'm trying to say.
Well, there's $100. What's the length? Let's see.
Read it
Eric,
again.
$100 if Jen could go without saying Eric, if you're here, how long? How long does she have to go without saying You still have to talk though. I don't think you can just go silent.
Well, I can figure it out. I just might talk a lot slower.
Can you believe we're not kicked off TikTok yet?
It is surprising. Not gonna lie.
All right, you want to do some announcements real quick while you're here?
Sure, but the ums will probably come out, so I don't. Just taking account because he didn't specify a time limit, so we'll get a do over. Let's see. All right, gift goals, top left hand corner. Even though Jay hasn't updated that total, even though I think I said it to him at least 3 times in our DMs.
It's my bad. I'll do it now.
So, yeah, gift goal, top left hand corner. I'm gonna say it's gonna happen. It's because I'm trying to watch what I say so I don't say the wrong words on TikTok. So it's gonna happen. I own it. I'm fine with it. You guys will just have to deal. It's one of my many charms that I've got. So if you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. You can subscribe pretty much wherever you're watching. With Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub. On TikTok, we've got, when we're here, we've got some cool emotes and things like that. So there's subscriber benefits for TikTok. We have 4 different memberships on YouTube. And you could also subscribe just for free. But we do have member-only events that we, for paid members. So
including this Monday. And if you guys haven't tried to watch me debate on Raging Tomato on that platform, it's the comment section's tough. It's just full of incel schmazzies. So make sure you're a paid subscriber on one of those platforms so you can watch it either on YouTube or in the Discord.
Yep, that's how it goes. If you disagree with RTP, you don't have to stay in the comments and cope really, really difficult for you. You can come on and have a conversation with Jay. How you do that is you look at the Venmo username. That's my Discord username. And you can DM me over there and I can bring you up to talk to him in real time. Let's see. Check out the link tree in our bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload all these episodes to Spotify. I keep forgetting to check, and maybe I just need to make this part of my routine of our Spotify metrics over there. But we're on our way. We're trying to get 2,000 people to check out an episode. So if you haven't checked out our Spotify, if you go over there and just turn it on for us, even playing in the background, we're trying to get at least 2,000 people to view the channel. That's one of the metrics, and we also need to get to 2,000 watch hours. So if you guys can help us out with that, that would be cool. Let's see. And yeah, gift goal. We've got about an hour and a half left. We go till 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Scientists have successfully created a green striped dog.
Green striped?
Green striped dog. By splicing its genes with watermelon. I had to ask because it looked really depressed. And they told me, of course it is. It's a melancholy.
No. Absolutely not. That one
It was I
immediately
ran out
in
of
the
jokes.
trash.
That was the last one I had. I had nothing else. That was the only one I had left. So I had
That's
to go with it.
terrible. Thank
It's
you.
the only one I had. So you just take it. Just deal with it.
That's what I do.
Just like the weird spitting and tongue licking nastiness.
What are you talking about?
exposes to your head. Oh, yeah. All right, bye.
And you guys are just getting here. I have no idea why Jen's talking about licking and spitting in the mouth. That's weird. Brian said, half the show. I was laughing at that. It's nice to see somebody else get picked on every once in a while. But now it's back to me. Look, we're doing fascism, and it's the dumbest fascism. And I do want to point that out, that it is very dumb. And it's dumb because, I brought it before, like Republicans just don't think. There's just no more thinking out of them. Is this not the right one? How did that happen? Oh, yeah, here it is. All right. This is Texas Republican Mike Little. I saw him earlier today on the steps of Congress in Texas, and he was reading a script, which was weird. He was interviewed last night on CNN, and what the Republicans have said at this point, and while saying that they're not fascist, because they're totally not fascist, and they're not authoritarian, and when they're asked why they're doing what they're doing, they basically are, it's some version of fuck Democrats, we do what we want, Trump won, so we get to do what we want, which is totally how our Constitution works, right? Whenever the president wins, he can just do whatever the fuck he wants. The Constitution can't stand in the way. But here is, what is his name again? Mitch Little on CNN.
We're joined now by a Republican member of the Texas State House, Mitch Little. Representative Little, thank you so much for being with us. And we're, of course, keeping our eye on the Texas House reconvening next hour. As we do that, I do want to ask you, does issuing civil arrest warrants for Democrats that are likely not enforceable outside of Texas perhaps actually incentivize them to stay out of Texas?
No, certainly not. And we've counted who's in Chicago. We've counted who's in Albany with Governor Hochul. And we know that there are plenty of Democrats that are still sitting home here in Texas, and we intend to go out and retrieve them. The costs of compliance will increase until compliance is gained.
So just before this vote where Democrats officially broke the quorum, actually what we heard from one of your Republican House colleagues, Brian Harrison, talking to my co-anchor Boris yesterday, was this about your House Speaker. Let's listen.
This is an abject failure of the elected Republican leadership in the state of Texas, because the elected Republican leadership in the state of Texas had every tool available to prevent this quorum break.
Speaker Dustin Burrows signed the civil arrest warrants for Democrats breaking the quorum. I wonder overall, how are you seeing his leadership on this?
Well, I'm very impressed about the Democrats' ability to bring Republicans together. As you may or may not know, Brianna, in Texas, our legislature has been kind of ruled by the uniparty, and we are one step significantly closer to having an 88-62 speakership and Republicans united behind the values that are important to us. We are eager to get back to work.
What are the values that unite you guys, Texas Republicans? What are the values that you're in? Because I'm going to ask the chat now, and here's the prediction. They're not going to have any values. They're going to say what they hate about their perception of Democrats. They're going to probably say something about like men and women's sports, open borders. Some of them, there's some dipshits in here that might talk about like masking from COVID. But I would love to hear what the fuck you guys believe. I would love to hear the principles that are guiding you, because it seems like what's guiding you is owning the libs. And that's to be expected, because you have done nothing but hire absolute dipshits ever since you hired Trump. You're like, oh, I liked that dipshit. From now on, we're only hiring dipshits. There is no literally, like, you guys ran on Project 2025, which was branded as Agenda 47, and I couldn't get any of you to read it. I was desperate to have any of you ever read it, and you're just like, nope, fake news, not real. That's not real. They said it's not real. They literally put out an agenda and then told you not to read it, and then you didn't read it. Like, don't worry about that. Don't read it. The agenda is Donald Trump. We begged you to read the agenda. You said no, thank you. I know your agenda. You all don't seem to know what unites you outside of Donald Trump, which by definition, like that's the cult. That's why it's fascism. When every one of you dipshits tries to be like, oh, you guys are the real fascists. Really? Who's our unifying leader? One tenet of fascism that always has to exist is a singular unifying leader. Who is it? Who's that one Democrat that we all love? There isn't one. But you guys have a guy that you're not even allowed to criticize. And when he calls your state and says, do it, you go, You're only doing this because he told you to. These aren't your principles. It wasn't your idea. It was in Project 2025, which he definitely told you not to read, and you definitely didn't read. And now that he's doing it, you're like, that's not Project 2025. And it is Project 2025. And Project 2025 is a road to not more democracy, not a representative republic. The goal of Project 2025 is a religious oligarchy. That's the whole goal. That you guys all lose your rights. And that now the church is like kind of in charge of everything. That's the entire goal here, is a religious oligarchy. And you're like, I'm a patriot, baby. No, you're not. You're just dumb. And you're just being used, which is fun if being used is like, it's not bad to be used sometimes. Sometimes being used is a good thing. As somebody who historically struggles to maintain relationships, being used isn't always the worst thing. You get something out of that. But you guys aren't getting shit. You're literally getting nothing from this. Every time you're like, we're winning, it's just like Donald Trump, like something good happened to Donald Trump. Like, we're like, Donald Trump's using his office to enrich himself. He's made like almost $1 billion in crypto. And you're like, that's right, we're winning. It's like, no, you're not. He is. He's doing great. You guys are not doing well. Nothing is getting better for you.
On flood relief, ending taxpayer-funded lobbying, protecting the unborn, but we will.
There we go. Watch it. Look. What unites us is the last 4 years of the fact that your new party faces are communist. Yep. Why? Why do they do it? Why do they do it? I tell them what they're going to say, and then they just say it. The definition of fascism is weaponizing the government against its people. No, it's not. There's no definition of fascism that says that. Don't make up a definition. Goddamn, do you guys know how Google works? Just Google, what is fascism? You don't have to guess. This is the anti-intellectual side of the Republican Party. They never want you to ever research anything. Just guess. How many times is this now? Republicans, you don't need to listen to this. How many times now on this stream alone have I said, I'm going to ask you a question, and here's what your answer is going to be. And then I ask you the question, and then you give me the answer that I already gave you. You stand for nothing. That's it. You've just been programmed to hate us. None of you would hate me, honestly. Well, some of you would hate me. Most of you, we would get along, and I would probably get along with you too. The divide between the right and the left, not Democrats and Republicans, because fuck the Democrats. Like fuck the Democrats. As much as I hate Republicans, I probably hate Democrats more because they should know better. You guys don't know better. So like it's like a puppy that pees on the floor versus like a 5-year-old dog that pees on the floor. One of you knows not to pee on the floor. You guys are just tinkling everywhere. But like I just don't understand how you became people who, when you hear something, you respond without knowing if what you're saying is true. You just say it. And you say it so goddamn confidently. They have destroyed your intellectual curiosity. But what they've done is they basically said, if you research something, that research is going to be biased and it's going to lead you to believe something different. So don't even start. You're like, okay, good. Because I only want to research if it confirms what I have to say. That's why I can predict those answers.
Get this redistricting job done. The Democrats cannot hold out forever. And the sooner they get back, the bigger a happier family we will be in the Texas House.
The timing of this. Can you talk to me about this? Why do this in a census off year when you just redistricted in 2021?
Because we can. We have the votes. It's legal for us to do so. It's legal for us to draw the lines based on political performance. We have 3 Hispanic predominated.
That is a wild thing to say. We're doing it because we can. And he just said that they can justify it based on political performance. Excuse me. Can somebody point to the part of the census that is done by political performance? The census is done by legitimately. If you've ever had somebody from the census, they knock on your door and they say, "Who lives here? What's your race, ethnicity? What do you do for work? How many children live here?" That's what the census is. What they're trying to say is that they have the legal right to do this because they had big numbers in Texas for this last election, which is even then it doesn't match. Like, let's look at Texas. Texas, like if this was true, let's go presidential election 2024. What was the vote in Texas? All right. These are the recent presidential elections. So in 2024, the most recent, 56% of Texans voted for Trump, 42 for Kamala, and then it was 46. The highest Democrats have got is 46%. But like, let's go 14 years. Let's go back since it was starting in 2000. Like, it's getting progressively more blue. Like, Republicans have been underperforming. Like, it's progressively been going the opposite direction. But again, they know you're not going to check any of this. And look, if I want to find the Texas proposed map, and let's remember, 42% of Texans voted for Trump. And let's see, actually, go to images here. And that's our map. What are we talking about? 42% of the voters? And they're going to then they lose 5 seats? They're just lying. But again, you guys don't care.
Districts in South Texas that we believe that we can carve out for Republican leadership in the United States Congress. It's going to be a good thing for Texas.
By the way, James, you say okay when Democrats did it, but not Republicans. Wrong. Nobody has ever done this. God, I'll be nice. I'm going to olive branch. James, if you are an honest person, and if you care about being right or getting something right rather than just being right, I want you to Google all the instances of somebody mid-census, 4 years after their last census, redrawing district lines 4 years in. You're supposed to redraw every 10. Give me an example of this, please. You have been told that we're okay with Democrats doing it. You obviously don't watch my show. I hate it. I hate it. In fact, Democrats put in a bill in 2021 to end it. And Republicans said no. And it was a bipartisan bill, by the way. There was stuff in there regarding like voter ID for the Republicans. It wasn't. I saw a really shitty. She did a bad job, but I saw Logic and Liberty try and like discuss this. She has you can go watch her TikTok. She didn't defend it very well. But she's like, oh, the reason that Republicans actually didn't vote for that bill is because it was there were other things in there they didn't like. Yeah, welcome to every fucking bill. Literally, the big, beautiful bill, every Republican on record basically said, there are parts of this that I don't like. Every bill that you vote for, there's things you don't like. But there was stuff in there for Republicans. I agree that Democrats do it, but nobody has ever done this. Just be honest with yourselves. I don't know why you're so afraid to criticize your party. Leave the party. Become an independent. Start criticizing the fuck out of them. You know this is wrong. And I'm going to say Illinois, the way that it's gerrymandered in Illinois is also wrong. I know a lot of people like to point at California, but the reality is California is pretty close. California has like 23% registered Republicans, and they get about 20% representation in their districts. It's pretty close. It's not like this.
And anytime thinking about what happens in California, Illinois, or New York, I'm here to protect Texas and ensure that our voices are heard.
So because you can, why should you though?
James, no, go do it, James. All right, fuck it, we're doing it, James. If you, we're going to Google, you got to do this for you. Has any state ever redrawn census or districts mid-census? Anything there? You see anything here that says that they did that? Here's the law. See anything here? In fact, there's still no examples of it because Texas is the only one that's ever tried it. So are you sure about that, James? You're telling me to tell the truth. You didn't go Google it. Just going to double down in the comments? All right, James, who did it? Just, James, tell me what state did it. Tell me, I could be wrong. James, what state did it? Who did it? Okay, look it up. Little boy says, Jim, they did it in 2014. Wait, 2014 was the year they did the census. Wait, no, that would have been a census year. It's every 10 years. Right? New York redistrict in 2014. Let's look at this story. No, they in New York, voters approved a constitutional amendment to reform the state's redistricting process, aiming to create an independent redistricting commission. That was a ballot. First of all, that was a ballot initiative, so that was voted by New Yorkers. And second, that it was just saying that they were going to use an independent redistricting commission. And then let's see. Yeah, I don't think they did that. Yeah, so you're wrong about that. All right. Are you going to admit that you were wrong there? Was that Jim? Jim, are you going to admit that you were wrong there? James, did you give me a state? Republicans, here's your chance. I'm finally debating you guys in the comments. I'm finally doing it. Yeah, I think 2020 was the last census. Yeah, I was thinking it was 2024, but it's 2020 and 2010. Anybody? Yeah, Mandy, we already covered this. Goddamn, I swear to God. Everybody, like a lot of states, gerrymander. Again, it's not about if states gerrymander. They do. Nobody's ever done this. That's what we're getting at. I don't know why you guys can't figure this out. Like, are you just willfully ignoring this? Are we just willfully ignoring the fact that this is mid-census? Like, it's in the middle? It's 4 years after the census? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. You'll admit that Jim was wrong? Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. By the way, Andrew Scott Bell there in the chat. You guys got to check out Andrew's music. Go to his TikTok page. It's impressive stuff. All right.
Because it's good for our party, it's good for our state, and we need to ensure that Donald Trump's agenda continues to be enacted throughout his second term. And we as Republicans see this as the difference between Democrats trying to impeach President Trump again during the second.
Mandy Rose, if you look, all right, we got to do this. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Mandy Rose, if you don't tell me a state that that redrew the maps mid-census, then you have to go. I'm done. You guys have to go. If you want me to engage with you, you've got to go. I need a name of a state, Mandy Rose, that changed their districts mid-census, between the two census. I need a name of a state, and if the next comment from you is not the name of a state, you got a 5-minute mute. You got to go. You just got to get the fuck out. And we're gonna have to start doing this to you guys all the fucking time. You don't get to talk if you're unwilling to engage. Honestly, we're gonna take away your freedom of speech over here. We're gonna do fascism. So watch for Mandy Rose. If her next comment is not the name of a state or "you're right, I'm wrong," no, Just Mod, you blocked her. Don't block her for that. Wait, no. Did you really block her? Don't do that yet. There it is. Maryland. Okay. When did they do it? Mandy Rose, next time. What year did Maryland redraw their lines? Thank you for doing that. Shout out, everybody. Round of applause for Mandy Rose. for being honest here. I appreciate that, Mandy Rose. Now, what year was it that Maryland redrew their districts? We're gonna walk through this. This is great. I think it's 2022. Almost there. Where's Mandy? Was it 2022, Mandy? Is that what you're referencing? It's 2022. And they did it based on the 2020 census. Now, you don't have to do the redistricting in the year of the census. You have to do it based on that. So the 2022 congressional or their legislative body, they put in the No Representation Without Population Act in 2010. And in 2022, they redrew the districts based on changes in population reported in the census. All right, Mandy, now we've got to talk about this. One, they did it based on census data. Mandy, if you're honest here, do you recognize that the people in California said that they are basing it on the election? Yes, it's completely different, but it doesn't matter. They do this to each other all the time. Okay, there we go. Yeah, great. Yeah. No, it's not the same. Yeah, that's what we're pointing out. This is not the same. Thank you, Mandy Rose. We're on the same page here. Appreciate it.
Second half of his final term as president of the United States, or accomplishing the agenda that all the voters in Texas by a significant majority sent him to accomplish.
So you're doing this for President Trump?
Oh, we're doing this for Texas. President Trump doesn't call me. I don't think he has my phone number. But what I would submit to you is this is the best thing.
But he called your governor, and then the governor called you, and you are a silly lying bitch. You know what happened. You know exactly what happened. Lou said this is to help locate Nancy's butt. Jackie said love you, and it wasn't me. Said what dish do sea monsters love? Fish and chips. Well done.
For Texas and its representation in the United States Congress.
Your state attorney general, your former boss as well, Ken Paxton, is calling for Democrats to be arrested. He's also primarying sitting Texas Senator John Cornyn. And as you're well aware, President Trump has made it clear he wants this redistricting in your state. Is that at play here as you're watching this? Is Paxton trying to court Trump for an endorsement?
No, I don't think that's really involved at all. I think Attorney General Paxton is probably going to beat Senator Cornyn by 10 points, regardless of whether he has a Trump endorsement. So let's lay that question to the side. I think what you're seeing, Brianna, is you're seeing alignment between the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, the Republicans in the Texas House, and the Republicans in the Senate to accomplish the goals that our voters sent us to accomplish. This level of cohesion has not existed in my lifetime, and I think we're on a tremendous path of succeeding not only in redistricting, but our other policy goals during the special session.
I do want to ask you about something else. You have gained a new resident in your state in the last week who's back in the headlines specifically today. That is convicted child sex predator.
All right, we're gonna skip there. All right. So they're just saying. By the way, it's absolutely for Trump's endorsement. Are you kidding me? Texas will go where Trump goes. If Trump, if Abbott doesn't do what Trump says, Trump's going to endorse Cornyn, and then Cornyn wins. Whoever Trump endorses, there's enough of a swing there that he's going to win. That guy's saying that it doesn't matter whether Trump endorses Abbott or not. It fucking matters. It absolutely fucking matters. Mandy, I agree. Democrats in New York and California are discussing mid-decade redistricting. But Mandy, if you're being honest, you also have to recognize that the only way that those New York and California do redistricting, it's a trigger. It's legislation with a trigger, and the only way to redistrict is if Texas does it first. That's it. Right? Just so we're clear. So if Texas doesn't do this, California and New York won't do this. I agree it's all bad. I don't like it at all. But if you don't want it done, then Texas shouldn't do it. By the way, it hurts you if Texas does this. I think they likely won't actually do this. Paxton, sorry, not Abbott. Thank you. Who told me to remind the gift goal? Thanks, Ocean WT. We do have a gift goal. We are crowdfunded. We are a long ways away from that because I've been heavily distracted today by the chat. There's the P, the C, and the V. That's how we fund our show every day, and we got to hit that goal every day to keep the show going. So if anything you can do to help with that, super chats or the P, the C, and the V would be great. Slick and Shazam said, Jay, love your work, brother, but you got to stop working yourself up over these bot accounts. Keep doing good work. Yeah, man, that's great advice that I don't think I will be able to deliver on, but that's really solid advice. Okay, let's get to. I did Lieutenant Governor. I just want to show you this. This is the only thing. This should have been the time that we realized that all Republicans are just like cucks that want a fascist daddy. We have to remember that this happened.
Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children. They live in his house.
Dad is Trump.
But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's going to have to let them know. He's going to have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when Dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, it's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way. It has to be this way because it's true. And you're only going to get better when you take responsibility for what you did.
I'm not surprised by Tucker. The cheering was a bit alarming. Standing ovation of calling Trump daddy was alarming. The extra cheers when they talked about spanking a little girl was alarming. Remember that? Who was the guy that was like, "We're going to Indiana and Washington and Oregon and Nevada, woo!" And then his career just ended. But then, like, this was like, I like this. I like what this Tucker Carlson guy has to say. Maybe we should just sit in the cuck chair and watch Donald Trump fuck the country. Weird. Dude, those are your people, folks. MAGA that's in the chat. Those are your people. There's not an insignificant amount of this in Duluth, Georgia. Everybody showed up in costume for the cult party while they talked about the cult leaders spanking them because they've been bad. This was leading up to the 2024 election. See, the Trump 2024. So this was I believe it was in 2024. Look at this. If you didn't know this was like, let's just say that you heard this was about, I don't know, Joseph Smith. Who's a more modern cult leader? David Koresh. Let's say you heard this was a Scientology convention. And these guys were talking about David Miscavige. Now just imagine for a second this is David Miscavige. You guys know who David Miscavige is? He's the leader of Scientology. They believe in like Zorp God or whatever. And his wife just disappeared because and they just disappear people all the time. Just imagine this isn't about Trump, and watch it again and think about David Miscavige.
Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them.
And by the way, this was at the time, the most prominent journalist from the highest rated news show in the country Or maybe he had been fired at that point. Maybe he might have been at that point. This was a journalist doing this. Somebody who's supposed to be partisan. Yeah. Somebody said, call us whatever you want, but don't call me a Democrat. Are you fucking kidding me? You're like, I would rather call Trump daddy and jack off to him spanking me than be called a Democrat. That'd be terrible if I advocated for things like universal health care and a more sensible tax structure. What if we had cleaner air and water? I can't even think about holding those types of beliefs. All right, I'm going to get to the meat of the show because we got an hour left. Jen's going to brutalize me if I don't remind you to help us knock out the gift goal. Hey, Howdy said, who in the Republican Party are taking accountability for what they've done? Nobody. You don't have to. Accountability, honestly, in that party, when you take accountability for something, you're done. You're not allowed to admit that you did something wrong. Your career is over once you admit that you did something wrong. The obvious, like the not so secret sauce in the GOP is never admit you're wrong. That's why Trump still tells you that tariffs are paid by other countries when they're not. Is Cucker advocating for beating his kids in anger? It sounds like it. BRX says there's a non-zero chance that this backfires. Redistricting may spread. The MAGA's too thin across districts. I agree. I actually even looked for a way that like there was a better plan for MAGA. One of my thoughts was, okay, if you get rid of illegal immigrants on the redistricting, let's say that you pull out all everybody who's here illegal. I know you guys don't like that term. I'm sorry, but then I don't have to deal with Republicans. They are immigrants who are here illegally. It's I don't know, whatever. But I looked at the numbers. Currently, there's 50. The way that I thought, like you're going to lose Texas would lose 1.6 million. Florida would lose 1.2 million. So they're going to lose seats. And then I looked at ICE arrests nationwide to see like which states have lost the most people here illegally so far. In Texas, it's 23%. They make up 23% of all ICE arrests. Florida makes up 11%. California makes up 7%. And then Georgia and Arizona make up 4% and 3% respectively. And I was thinking, because if you arrest somebody and you put them in jail, they count on the census. This happens a lot to like I live close to Florence, Arizona. And a lot of the representation that Florence gets is due to their jail population. Like I think their jail population is like a third of the population in the city. And so they get extra representation. So I thought maybe the amount of people incarcerated would help them because they put these concentration camps in Republican states. But then I looked, the total number currently incarcerated by ICE, or I guess kidnapped and in concentration camps by ICE, is 56,000. So that wouldn't help them either. I like that comment. Like I did look for a way that this would benefit them, and I just don't see it. I think you're right about that. I think that they that this is like for some reason this is like this is about it's like a principled stance, but it doesn't help them. I'm with you there. Charles, thanks for 6 months, buddy. Jumar said, put the P in the V, you see. Johnny said his new pronouns, little Mitch. Yeah, that's an old Tucker clip, Jen. I was saying I just saw it. Julius, thank you for the donation there. Okay, I think I'm all caught up now. All right, let's get to this. This is coming from Drop Site News. Watched this last night. I saw that Drop Site had put out a 16-minute video, so this is kind of long. And I would never show this normally, because I think that like there are people that work in government that are religious, and I think that their religious views are different than mine. But oftentimes I'm not concerned about them because they don't really affect policy. This is an interesting video. When you look at the fact that there is unequivocally a genocide that's happening in Gaza, and it is largely Christian conservatives who are advocating for it, people like Randy Fine who are legitimately saying, like, go for it. And you see that many members of Congress, the picture was taken yesterday, on their month off, they all decided to go hang out with an actual war criminal. Can you imagine, like, the history books, if you looked back and, like, in the middle of World War II, if you looked back and you saw a bunch of U.S. Members of Congress posing with old Schmittler while he was doing the genocide, smiling? This picture was posted yesterday of all these Republican members of Congress. Many of them you'll recognize. Is Randy Fine there? They may not have had a seat that could hold him. I'm not sure. Let's see if Randy Fine's in there or not. But they all decided to go hang out with a war criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu, during their break. And it's baffling to me to watch people who talk so openly about Jesus and about the lessons they learned from the Bible and how they want to put that back in school, and then try and figure out how they're justifying agreeing with a genocide or funding a genocide. In some cases, cheerleading a genocide. And I think what Breaking Points came here. This is again Ryan Grimm. I don't know what to say about this. It's alarming. Mike Johnson is the third in line to the president. Mike Johnson is one of the most powerful speakers we've ever had. Like, his party marches in lockstep with him. And yes, a lot of that has to do with his proximity to Trump. But Mike Johnson is somebody that nobody gave a fuck about. Most of us didn't know Mike Johnson existed until he was they ran through 10 different people that they wanted to be Speaker of the House, and then they landed on Mike Johnson. And there's some fishy stuff about Mike Johnson. One, again, his rise from nothing to suddenly being the Speaker of the House. Two, he doesn't seem to weirdly have any assets. Three, he has extremist religious views. And then the fourth part, which I hate saying this, but there's at least parts of his life, specifically the accusations and the photos of his account allegedly from Grindr, that would lead you to believe at the very least that there's a possibility he lives a life that is not in accordance with his publicly stated beliefs. And no matter who you are, if you live a private life and then you have a public life, and your private life doesn't match your public life, you are ripe for somebody who can be manipulated. And that's how Mike Johnson comes off to me. His ability to never disagree with Donald Trump, despite Donald Trump regularly being in opposition of Mike's alleged Christian beliefs, is baffling. But then I saw this, and I can't warn you enough how fucking weird this is going to be. So I'm sorry in advance. This is the strangest political story I've ever seen, and we're going to try and get through this.
The first House Speaker to visit the occupied West Bank this week, with a trip that has attracted intense scrutiny. While there, he said that the mountains of Judea and Samaria, the settlers' name for the West Bank, belong to Israel, quote, by right, which not only contradicts international law, but also official U.S. policy. But behind the provocative rhetoric,
just to be clear, our speaker is going to a war zone with the people who are perpetrating the genocide, and he's using not even religiously coded language. He's just using obvious religious language that says, yeah, it doesn't matter. This genocide doesn't matter because Israel has the right to this land, and we're going to use the biblical names rather than the official names that we use according to U.S. policy. So he's going against U.S. foreign policy to go and cite biblical prophecy.
The media so far has missed what appears to be the fundamentally biblical nature of the trip. So the story behind the trip involves a rabbi named Yitzhak Mamo, a Texas Christian named Byron Stinson, 5 red heifers, and the apocalypse. Now, in September of 2022, Stinson shipped 5 red heifers to Tel Aviv from Texas. The cattle are part of end times prophecy and are required to be sacrificed to help usher in the apocalypse. Hamas spokesman Abu Ubaidah, in marking the 100th day of the war that began on October 7th, even made reference to the red heifers as a provocation to be condemned, since part of the end times prophecy involves destroying the Al-Aqsa Mosque and rebuilding the
He did say red heifers.
Jewish temple that was destroyed 2,000 years ago. On February 1st, 2023, Mike Johnson, according to a source with knowledge of the matter, invited Rabbi Mamo to Congress to speak to a group of evangelical Republicans about the heifers. Boris Johnson also happened to be there. And Johnson, that's Mike Johnson introduced the rabbi, who regaled the gathering with tales of the prophesied heifers. So the meeting was held on the same day as that year's National Gathering for Prayer and Repentance, a high-profile evangelical convening in Washington that Mike Johnson is heavily involved with. The next year, in 2024, both Stinson and Rabbi Mamo spoke at the gathering, telling their story again, where John...
By the way, before you conservatives think that this is made up, I just want you to know so that you don't stop listening. Ryan Grimm is telling you, like, he's setting the stage, and then you're going to see Mike Johnson and friends confirm all of this. This isn't a report that there's not receipts on. I want you guys to stick around. He's setting the stage. I thought the same thing you did. When he said this, I was like, I'll never cover this because, like, it's probably an unsourced story. Nope. The sources are about to be on camera here. The sources are about to be speaking. This is not... Keep listening. This isn't going to be Ryan Grimm talking for 15 minutes. You're about to see Republicans talk about, spoiler alert, animal sacrifice. They are trying to do animal sacrifice as a way to bring back Jesus.
Johnson was a central figure.
So, Father, we bless you for granting us the ability to have the office of the Consolidator in Chief, represented by your manservant, Speaker Johnson, to be with us today, and your different servants representing the entire earth for a cry of repentance.
So here's Byron Stinson at that event.
Reminder, Mike Johnson has a black son that doesn't talk to him. I didn't know they didn't talk. I was unaware of that.
You're going to be extremely excited what you're about to hear now as we go into this portion on Israel. I have two good friends out here with me, Byron Stinson and Rabbi Isaac Mamo. And I'm going to have them start immediately by telling the story of the red heifers. These are the men who are at the epicenter of what's happening with the red heifers. So,
you just said update your TikTok goal. Thank you. And Jamie said good show today. Thank you very much.
Byron, shall we start with you? This story, Byron is an evangelical Christian from Texas. Saki Mamo is an Orthodox Jew from Jerusalem.
Brianna, I appreciate what you said. It did make me laugh. I cannot say that out loud. Thank you, though.
Byron, do we start with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I have really good news today, and I'm so happy to be here. Could I have that first slide, please?
Yep.
If we're going to the next slide, what we see here are the red heifers. Let's go back one. Are the red heifers necessary for the Messiah to come? Well, let me ask you something. When Israel was scattered for 2,000 years in the land, was it necessary that Israel, Judah, the tribe of Judah, the lion, would return to the land? Was that necessary?
Happy Friday light to you too, Tanya.
Is it necessary that on the Temple Mountain of God, that there be a temple that we worship him there, as it says in Micah 4? Is that necessary that we build the land?
For anybody joining late, this is a meeting Mike Johnson set up here. And Mike Johnson is over in Israel right now, and they're trying to fulfill a biblical prophecy that has, it's an Old Testament prophecy. Both the Jewish faith and the Christian faith have a version of this red heifer prophecy that need to come true. Now, ironically enough, the Jewish folks here in this room, they believe in the red heifer prophecy to bring in the Messiah, and the Christians believe that they are going to bring back the Messiah. So they're working together to bring back a different person. Just so we're clear, it is like that's how they've aligned. The Jewish folks here are like, it's not going to be Jesus, and the Christians are like, want to bet? And now they're going to do this. Oh.
So the first step on the red heifers is that we are going to move towards building that temple. This is the first step, and it has to happen. But my friends, I want to tell you, all of you in the nations, you need to know something. God had a plan. He put his people, Judah, into the nations to suffer because they didn't obey him. Here we are today. We're seeing today we're doing the same thing.
Don't ever believe anybody who looks like that. I think that's fair. Never, ever. If somebody is talking to you and they look like that, just stop, just leave. Except for today. Stay here today.
But thankfully, we have leaders in Judah that love us. They've reached across to us, and they want to help lead us. And they're reading their word, and they're reading their Bible. And in the Bible, it says, find a red heifer. So they called me, and I didn't go find a red heifer for me. I found the red heifer for every one of you.
So this guy from Texas gets a call from Mike Johnson's weird little cult, and he starts tracking down red heifers. Now, these red heifers, biblically, they need to be unyoked, which means they can't ever be used for work, and they need to be without blemish. So they have to be perfect, and like however you analyze a red heifer, and they can't be used for work. These have to be well taken care of, virgin, unworked red heifers.
Because the fathers of faith said, speak to the children in the lands and bring us a red heifer so that we might do this ceremony.
So just to underscore, this is the crew here that Mike Johnson brought to the Capitol. Now here's Rabbi Mamo.
This part that has not been discussed publicly in any venue, we have to have land, and that land has to be at a certain elevation and a certain location. And what is that?
By Numbers 19, again, we have to read the Bible, we have to read the Torah, and to see. It's written that it had to be at the front of the Holy of the Holy. So at the tabernacle tent time, Moses, it was easy for him. He had the tent, and he just find the door. Today, as I mentioned before, we know where is the place of the Holy. It's on the Dome of the Rock. Okay, this is a view from Mount of Olive, okay, a big cemetery, Jewish cemetery. By the tradition, who buried in Mount of Olive will be the first one that will wake up at the redemption time. But you can see the Dome of the Rock. So we have to be in a place that we can see the Holy of the Holy. And actually, it's had to be the same heights, that we can be at the same level of the temple.
However,
now, as of today, the Mount of Olives is the final piece of occupied East Jerusalem that remains out of the grasp of Israeli settlers. So as we speak, and now you can start to tie this together, this is holy land that both Christians, some Christians and some Jews believe will be a spot that ushers in the Messiah. And now you can see that when you read the Old Testament or the Torah, and you read how Jesus, how the God of the Old Testament regularly allowed for things like attempted human sacrifice, murder. If you get made fun of for being bald, like a bear can just rip you to shreds, like God will send a bear to rip you to shreds. So there's a lot of justification in the Old Testament for violence to fulfill prophecy. And so you have a section of land, one of the last sections of land that is not under the control of the Israeli government. And you have two religious fundamentalists here brought to Congress or to Washington by Mike Johnson. And also Mike Johnson visited with them in Israel. You have them now stating the case for why they need that land and what they will do with that land.
Buying land there is impossible, because if an Arab Muslim sells to a Jew, he or she gets killed. So that's hardly an option. But somehow, God supernaturally helped you buy what?
Piece of land. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, and specific, don't ask me why I succeed. I don't know.
Why do you think this person doesn't want you to ask him why God supernaturally somehow allowed him to buy a piece of land in Palestine that wasn't for sale or that he can't buy. Why do you think he said supernaturally, and why do you think he doesn't want you to ask questions?
But with a lot of, I just say a miracle, okay? Not any other explanation.
Actually, 12 years ago, you said maybe we build a Red Angus steakhouse up there when we were getting it. Remember that?
So we succeed to buy a little piece of land, 1 dunam, which means quarter of
an acre.
And it's, as you can see here, this is a photo from the mountain, okay? So it's at the same level of the temple. It's the front of the holy place. So we have the cows, we have the...
So it's on eye level. So this is going to fulfill their prophecy. Whoops. I go to.
And are required to be...
Because they didn't... Because
Shit,
the
sorry.
place that we
build a...
Let me get there, sorry.
We are ready.
The Israeli government approved you to bring your 5 pets, which you never kept in your front yard like most people do.
So as he says, they're in Shiloh. So what biblical town in the West Bank did Mike Johnson visit? Well, let's take a look. Who is that American tourist in the blue shirt and the khakis there? Well, there he is, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Where is Mike Johnson? Where's that crowd? Shiloh. Checking out the heifers?
Gotta look at the heifers.
Gotta check out
Gotta
your heifers.
inspect them.
When he said your pets.
The heifers are over there now. The heifers, they are over in Israel, in Shiloh. And Mike Johnson went to check them out.
By the way, when he said they allowed you to bring your pets, there is an export ban on cattle from the United States to Israel. So what they did is they said they're pets. They classified them as pets.
They flew them on a Boeing 777.
And it landed. And they got him there. So this is the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Brittany said, just bring on the apocalypse at this point. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, that's what they're trying to do. Johnny said, Jeebus Christo, how did you not understand me? I didn't. Did I not understand you?
Representatives.
Mm-hmm.
Intimately involved in this red heifer prophecy. Well, what are we even supposed to do with this? It's supposed to be a news show, but this is crazy.
Well, no, I mean, this is important because it gets to exactly what the motivations are. And it's where, of course, there is a kind of overlap in the Venn diagram between some Orthodox Jews and some evangelical Christians. We've talked about this a little bit over the years. I'm an evangelical Christian. This is what you call premillennial dispensationalism. If you're an evangelical Christian, it's, you know, if you remember, if you're my age.
Huckabee's one of these, the ambassador.
They all play,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting. So Huckabee has played really careful with it. You can kind of read into what he said, and it's the same thing with Mike Johnson. You can kind of read into the groups that he speaks to, the people that he speaks to.
It's called a red heifer apocalypse. So the cows are called red heifers, and the reference is from, I think, what did they say? Was it Deuteronomy or Numbers? I can't remember. It's a biblical prophecy, and it's specific that you need red heifers.
The way that he talks about having a biblical mandate, you know, that God will bless those who bless the nation of Israel. I think that's a direct quote that Mike Johnson has recited before.
And this is new reporting that it was Mike Johnson that introduced this rabbi at this private event.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the significance of that seems to be that, yes.
It's important to notice, and I don't remember if they covered this here, but if you remember when Mike Johnson was sworn in as speaker, he told a story about how he had a vision or a prophecy that came to him that he would be Moses. Moses, obviously, who led people from their land. Now he is the new Moses to lead people back into his land. At the time, when he talked about the new Moses, like I didn't make the connection to Israel. I didn't make the connection to like bringing back Jesus, bringing back the Messiah, and the stick of the stick of Judah reclaiming their land. That never even registered to me. But now when you go back and you look at what he's saying, that I'm the modern day Moses. Oh, the modern day Moses brings him back. Biblical Moses leads them away. Modern day Moses brings them back. And so if Mike Johnson believes he's the modern day Moses, and he believes that that's biblical, then he believes that the things that the Bible says will usher in the Messiah must be done. And this is one of the things that must be done according to the Bible.
Mike Johnson is one of what I would say in the U.S. is a dwindling number of evangelical Christians who are dispensational.
No. Let's be clear on this. Mike Johnson is a Christian. The Jewish faith and the Christian faith share the Old Testament. So this is a biblical prophecy by both religions. The main difference between, not the main difference, but one of the significant differences between Judaism and Christianity is that Christians believe in Jesus Christ, that he was the Messiah. Judaism doesn't believe that he was the Messiah. They believe that the Messiah is yet to come. So they're in two different spots. And so Mike Johnson is following his Christian beliefs, which require all of these biblical prophecies to be fulfilled. So what you have here is you have an alignment of two religions who share a prophecy, but they actually don't believe the outcome is the same. They don't believe the person coming is the same person. Christians believe it will be Jesus. Jews believe it will be the Messiah, right? It's a different person. So this just happens to be a confluence of two different religions who share part of the same beliefs, because they have the same book.
It was really popular, actually, around the time of the millennial. No surprise, and the Left Behind books, Fear My Age, you'll remember those were out at the time. But when you played that video of Hamas on the 100-day...
Johnson, by the way, was not speaker yet when he invited, when he first invited these two figures to the Capitol, Stinson and Mamo. So, which is, I think,
and this is part of like that, like coming from a religious cult. What this story does to us, it seems crazy, but to the Christians that believe like Mike, they go, "Isn't this crazy? Doesn't God work in mysterious ways?" Mike Johnson was a nobody, and then he brought this rabbi to Washington, and then suddenly God chose Mike Johnson to lead. And then Mike Johnson wasn't the Speaker of the House, and then he went through, to 10 other people were voted on, and nobody could find consensus. And then they finally settled on Mike Johnson. And then Mike Johnson, it's crazy. He rose. Like, he's a totally different person. Mike Johnson, it went from the most boring human being on earth to like a very confident and captivating speaker. And that confidence is, in my opinion, based on the fact that you have a bunch of people who believe he's called from God, and he believes that too. The one thing that all cult leaders and all of these religions have in common is that the more people believe, the more confident the leader becomes, and the more the more daring their predictions get, the more likely they are to try and fulfill like an end times prophecy. Like that's the cult I grew up in. That was Joseph Smith. He was just like a treasure hunter farm boy who at first everybody thought was crazy, but he just started amassing people. And then it grew and grew and grew. And then suddenly he was this all-powerful leader. It's the same thing that happened to Donald Trump. He was polling at 1%. But slowly Donald Trump got that power, and he got it by forcing you to believe that the things he was doing were like, not necessarily miracles, but they were like nobody else could do them. Nobody could do this but me. I'm the only one that could do this. We've never had somebody like me. Nobody understands science like me. Nobody understands democracy like me. Nobody understands the debt like me. And after years of that being beaten into your head, you start to believe that. And then not only does that make you tighter, it also elevates the leader, and the leader starts to believe it himself. I have no doubt in my mind that Mike Johnson believes all of this, that Mike Johnson's confidence and his willingness to overlook the atrocities in Palestine and overlook Donald Trump consistently lying right in front of his face is because he believes that this is all bringing about an end of times prophecy. And so the Lord works in mysterious ways. The Lord works through imperfect people, David famously sent his best friend to the front line so that he could have sex with his wife. That sounds an awful lot like something Donald Trump would do. So when you have that as an example, you're like, okay, well, the Lord's working through Donald Trump. And then the Lord saved his life from those assassination attempts. And you have Tim Scott and all these Christians going around like they saved him, leaving out that they fucking killed a fireman. That they could have just made the bullet not hit Trump and not hit the fireman, but no, God needed to kill that fireman too.
It's important.
It's extremely important.
But he was when they came back for that gathering. Anyway, go ahead. So you were talking about the Abu-Ageddon.
Well, yeah, so that video is really, really important because whether or not you take Hamas at their word, what is true is that provocations, which is, I know that that's the connotation of that is pejorative, but provocations at Al-Aqsa, Dome of the Rock, Temple Mount, from some Israeli officials, and with the sort of sanctioning of some major people in this space, you're not supposed to pray. There's a huge debate as to whether you're supposed to pray when you go up there. You're not supposed to, and a lot of people say that it's actually sacrilegious and everything, but there are others who—
Thank you, Robin.
Who push to be able to do it. And that is part of, I mean, the Hamas called October 7th Al-Aqsa flag.
Mandy, I'm not blaming Trump for that. I'm saying that I'm speaking specifically to the people who think that the shooter shot at Trump and then God moved the bullet. I agree with you. If that shooter was shooting at Trump, he missed. I'm referring to the people who use God as a justification to support Trump because they say Trump's life was spared because of God. I'm not trying to diminish somebody's faith, but it is weird to say that God spared Trump when the end result was that a fireman died, right? That God needed Trump, so he had to kill a fireman. If your belief system is that God spared Trump, then why did the fireman have to die? It's not to say that maybe the kid missed and he hit the fireman. I don't know. We still don't have answers on that, but that's all I'm trying to say is that like if that's going to be your train of thought, you also have to accept that God decided in order to save Trump, he had to kill that fireman.
Right.
After the mosque, Al-Aqsa, on the Temple Mount. And so citing of the heifers, as they call it, a provocation, I think what we're seeing, whether or not you believe that this is the end times, the Third Temple movement among Jews is meant to follow biblical mandates to bring about the Messiah. The Third Temple movement among evangelical Christians is because they believe that this will this invites in the end of days, that this creates room for Christ to return and conquer evil. And so setting the stage in very specific ways, I mean, I recommend people go to the Temple Institute's website and see
Thank you, Susan.
The preparations beyond the red heifers, the preparations for very specific things that need to happen from their perspective in order to usher in this period. I mean, this is, if you go to their website, you can see like just the menorah.
How do we find that?
I think it's just Google Temple Institute and click on their website.
Okay.
It's really like, you saw Numbers 19 illuminated behind some of those speakers. You can go and—
Does this prove Trump is the Antichrist? I don't know. Fortunately for me as a Mormon, like we didn't, we believed in some weird shit, but we weren't like apocalyptic really.
You can read Numbers 19. That is the specific verse that talks about the specification of the red heifers. The red heifer story is fascinating. Like,
Hey Howdy says what is happening is not a miracle.
Because
some of those heifers have already been ruled out, apparently.
Yes, because they can't have like a white hair.
No white hairs.
Yeah, I mean, so this is—
So to be clear, what they're doing, they look at the cows, and if there is any perceived imperfection. By the way, as of this morning, I think all 5 of these red heifers have been ruled out. So for now, we're safe. But I still want to show this because now they got to find another red heifer. But apparently, they have found impurities in all the red heifers, so they're just going to kill them anyways.
I think they're actually even—
I don't, yeah, his name's Corey, whatever. I remember this, Corey, whatever. Yeah. Do you want me to say his name, Andy? I don't, why do you keep saying Corey? I understand he has a name. I don't know why. I'm just saying, why did God have to kill him? If that, I don't think that's your belief, that God killed him. I'm saying that these people's belief is that.
sending frozen embryos. Someone would have to like fact check that, but so that you always have on hand. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. But this is the politics of this. Think about that. If you're putting all of the effort into the heifers.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, you know this because you just reported this out. But it's like incredibly consequential that you have this. Mike Johnson is one of dwindling number of evangelicals, as I said, in the United States that are sort of premillennial dispensationalists. But in Israel, this is growing. This is a movement that's getting bigger and bigger.
And the scary part about these types of movements is that there's never really been much incentive to side with Mike Johnson here. But if you side with Mike Johnson now, that this is like bringing in an end times prophecy, then guess what? You get to justify your vote for Donald Trump. You get to justify supporting Marco Rubio. You get to justify Anthony Blinken going over to Israel and green lighting the genocide of the Palestinian people. You get to, wherever you might be, you get to then say, you know what, the Lord works in mysterious ways, let the genocide happen. That's why it's growing, because the genocide is happening. And people want an escape. People want to believe that the people they voted for are not evil. And so when you give them this out, a lot of people take it. They're like, oh, well, it's God's will, and I don't like it, but there's a lot of things that happen in this world, and I just trust God, and His will be done. And so now you get to be a Christian, you get to talk about God all the time, and you get to defend all this shitty behavior as God's will, right? That's why it grows in times like this. Like in times of poor behavior inside a cult, that's usually when people strengthen. Like the cult will strengthen then. There was multiple mass murders committed by the Mormons, one in Wyoming and one in southern Utah, and we never knew about it. But what it did, it actually strengthened the membership, because they were all now complicit in a crime, and the only way for them to justify that crime was their faith. Famously, I was involved in the Lori Vallow murders. That was what she did, and that's how her network closed in. And they all started justifying killing their husbands and their children because of the faith. This type of stuff actually makes their belief system stronger. And that's why I beg Christians, I'm begging American Christians, American conservative Christians, don't ignore this. You are pushing people to actively support a genocide to fulfill a prophecy. That's when you're in scary times, because then it doesn't matter what we say. It literally doesn't matter. We could show you video after video after video of these Israelis doing the most horrific things on earth, and Christians could say, I don't support that, but the Lord works in mysterious ways, I'm going to stick with it. That's what's scary about where we're at right now. The third most powerful person in our country is Mike Johnson, and he is actively trying to bring about this apocalyptic end of times prophecy, and in doing so, he's overlooking genocide. And he's overlooking the destruction of American democracy at the same time. Why? Because who the fuck cares about American democracy when Jesus is about to be here? You think Jesus doesn't like democracy? He's the king. So why the fuck do we care about American democracy if the king's going to come here soon? And the sooner we can get the king here, the better, because that's what we wanted in the first place. So yeah, I'm going to overlook all this other stuff, because my goal here is to get the king back.
According to the reporting. So things are...
Shane said, do you have anything to contribute to this world besides complaining? Yeah, occasionally I fuck your mom, Shane.
The heifers can never have been under the yoke, according to
never
numbers.
Under the yoke.
And
they have to have a chill life.
Does an embryo inside a fridge count as being under... Is that a yoke? I don't know. I think those embryos don't count.
Oh my gosh.
So if y'all do this whole thing and the Messiah doesn't come, it's because the embryo was actually under the yoke.
Well,
that's right.
Just the final, no, but then it's disqualified. Well, I guess that's what you're saying. It's the
right,
sacrificing of the heifer.
The Lord is the judge. Right?
So you have to. They've
we're
already
just guessing at what his requirements are based on numbers.
Peter Till in the chat. As a Christian, I would say 40% of us don't subscribe to this.
19.
So yeah, well, in Numbers 19, it's God saying this to Moses and Aaron. But
God left a little room for interpretation.
well, we didn't know where the yoke would go, yes,
Right.
technologically. But basically, the point here is that if you believe, like after, what was it, it was the 1967 war, there was an opportunity to blow up the temple. And Israel decided, to blow up Al-Aqsa and rebuild the third temple, blow up Dome of the Rock, and rebuild the third temple. They did not do that. So the politics of this are really
to find the Messiah. Shut up, Robert. I hate you.
important, because if this is a growing constituency in political Israel, then you may be approaching a point where there is destruction of a sacred site for Muslims, which was built on a
yolk went into my omelet. Get back, Kirsten. There's my ex-Mormon friend.
the single most important site in all of Judaism. And so that's basically, I mean, everybody knows this, but that is the heart of the conflict between the two parties here, is this contested territory, because it is very important in Islam as well. It's where they believe that Muhammad went on his ascension to heaven. And obviously in a lot of different strains of, thought in Islam, Jerusalem.
It's like the yokes on them. Jesus Christ.
Is important for their own eschatology. So if you then have a growing constituency for just actually physically fighting over the temple itself, over the Temple Mount itself, over that land itself, and a rebuilding of a third temple, the consequences of that are enormous.
Yeah. And I just want to underscore, the Speaker of the House of Representatives is at the center of this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, although again, he's like very Gen X evangelical.
All right, that's basically the end of it. Does it add a little clarity to why Mike Johnson, who never stops talking about Christianity, is so comfortable being around a chronic liar? Does it make sense why he's running cover? Does it make sense why when Donald Trump calls him and tells him to cover up the Epstein files, they're like, no vote, please, no vote. He's like, all right, that's fine. I'll dismiss everybody. Does it make sense now? Because if Donald Trump gets in trouble, Donald Trump gets removed, that's not good for him. Now, when Mike Johnson says, yeah, that's fine, we're just going to redistrict, we're just going to redraw the lines, and we're going to cheat to give Donald Trump 5 more seats. Was it dishonest? Yeah, but in the name of God, who the fuck cares, right? Sometimes God needs you to be imperfect. There's the story in the Book of Mormon, which is the Mormons, it's a break off from the New Testament. The whole story is that there's these plates, Lehi and his family, they're in Jerusalem, and they need the record of their people, which are on brass plates. And there's this guy named Laban that has them, and he's this big fat drunk guy. And Nephi is this strong, strapping, God-fearing, God-obeying man. And so they're like, Nephi, since you're the closest to Jesus, you got to go get the plates. God has chosen you because you're the most righteous. You got to go get those plates from Laban. So he goes and he offers gold, and he takes a sack full of gold, all their belongings, and he goes and he tries to get to Laban. He's like, I'll give you all of this gold if you give me the brass plates. And Laban's like, yeah, get fucked, and just take. Obviously, it doesn't say that, but my version's better. Laban tells him, get fucked, steals their gold, and then Nephi's like, oh, and he goes wandering morosely through the streets late at night, and he stumbles across a drunk Laban, and he decides, oh, I've got a plan. I can put on Laban's clothes and pretend to be him, and I'll go into into where the plates are, and I'll just pretend, and nobody will think anything, and I'll take the plates, and I'll get out of here. And then God's like, wait, good plan. I like your plan. I love where your head's at. I like that you're putting on the costume. Obviously, I put drunk Laban there so that you could get his clothes. And Nephi's like, great plan. And he's like, but one other thing, cut his head off. And Nephi's like, what? And he's like, yeah, you're gonna have to cut his head off. And then Nephi also cuts his head off and then takes his clothes in. I think that's true. Did I make that up? I'm pretty sure that's true. Kirsten, you still here? I think he kills Laban. Yeah. As I was saying that sounded wrong because it's so outrageous. But yeah, he does do that. And, by the way, the Book of Mormon, when I grew up, it used to have pictures with it. The pictures aren't in the Book of Mormon anymore, but there was like this blue version of it, and you could it had pictures, and this was the picture. Oh no! What have I done? I shouldn't have done that. There's a spilled wine. I guess this is maybe like right before. You have that one? It's a good one. Thank you. As I said it, I was like, wait a minute. Did I make that part up? But there we go. That's what I should do. I should read the Book of Mormon, just like get stoned and do the Book of Mormon. Just read the Book of Mormon and explain it. That's actually a really good content idea. We may do that. You might have just given me the best idea we've ever had. All right. Now, after we have the good Christians, what I say, the good Christians and the bad Christians. Mike Johnson, clearly a fucking bad Christian. Just no morals at all, because he's an end of times Christian. And then we have other Christians who I can't stand, but sometimes they get it right. And I don't know if she's just like pulling her head back or hair back tighter. That hairline's a little tough, Marge. I maybe would stop doing the ponytail. But I did not expect to jump on Twitter and hear this out of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Tell you what, 6 months in, Steve, and here we are turning back on the campaign promises, and we bombed Iran on behalf of Israel. Yes, it was on behalf of Israel. We're entering a nuclear war, the World War III, because the entire world is going to erupt. And you want to know the people that are cheering it on right now? Their tune is going to drastically change the minute we start seeing flag-draped coffins on the nightly news, on Fox News that brainwashes all the baby boomers, and on CNN that brainwashes all the Democrat baby boomers. And that's
fucking woke. It's like, what, Marge is woke now? That's crazy. Yeah, Cass. It's kind of crazy that Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't an end times like apocalyptic Christian. I agree with you, but like, what? We've been saying it. Now Marge is just woke.
That is exactly how this is going to go down. And
yeah, Marge was right. Uh-oh. When Marge is right, I'm like, fuck, am I wrong? Honestly, that's my first thought every time I agree with Marge. I'm like, I got to revisit this. I don't know. Maybe we should have bombed Iran. Like, maybe that was the right decision. Maybe it wasn't Israel. Maybe Israel, I know Israel bombed them first and then convinced us to do it. And this war, this like 10-day war just went away. We just don't talk about it anymore. We still don't know what happened. Like, we don't even know how much destruction we did to their nuclear program. And we don't even talk about it anymore. Just nobody talks about Iran. We just bombed them once. Yeah. But if it wasn't so obvious that Israel dragged us into that, I probably would have the opposite position, because just being on the same side of Marge is frustrating. Being on the side of Boston Yusuf, however, is not that frustrating. Here he is. I forget this podcast, Trigonometry. I know you guys don't like Theo Von, but I do want to show you this, and I apologize. It's a little insensitive, and I apologize. I'm not trying to be here. I think it's funny, but let me... I have a different opinion, I think, of a lot of people of Theo Von. I think Theo Von is funny, but I do think I think he has a good heart, and so when I show Theo Von stuff, do I not have it? I don't know. I'll try and find it later. Anyways, here's on Trigonometry. I should have had that ready. Here's Bassem Youssef. It's a good, really good podcast if you want to go check it out. But
interested in peace.
Take it back. Trigonometry is not a good podcast. This episode is good.
Right? Is that fair to say? You want the killing to stop. So do I. So do most people. And that's what I said to you at the beginning. Most people want the killing to stop, and they're trying to work out in a very difficult, I mean, there's a reason it's been going on for as long as it's been going on. It's complicated and it's
No,
difficult.
it's not complicated. It's not really
Bassem,
complicated. It's a group of people who took up other people and continue killing them. It's not that complicated. It's very obvious.
Well, if it was that simple, it would have been resolved by now.
No, it will not be resolved, because people who are evil have the power, and you cannot do anything in order to change that. I mean, they are killing you in your face, and you're telling, we're killing people.
You try. You try.
And at a certain point, you you as a Palestinian, you can at a certain IDF soldier can come in, take you, put you in prison, put you on administrative detention for months and even years. There's some that have been in jail for 10, 15 years with absolutely no accusation. Israel is the only country in the world that tries children in front of a military court with 99.7% conviction rate. There's nothing that never happens anywhere. So that is even, I didn't even scratch the surface. And when you do that on daily basis for 75 years, at a certain point, people will crack, and people will throw rocks. If you throw rocks, you're a child, your limbs are broken. If you are a Palestinian and you take a dagger and want to fight back, you will be, of course, killed, and you'll be labeled as a terrorist. But what happens is that they are responding to the daily terrorism that has been happening for years. And nobody is caring, because we have already decided that those group of people do not have the right of equal living or equal right. And that's very distressing.
There's not a debate I've seen in 6 months that doesn't go exactly like this when we're talking about Israel. You have a lot of people who are incurious and have started with the position that they support Israel, and then they just refuse to move from it. And every time at this point that they have the conversation, they have their pants pulled down, because there's nothing you can say. You can show all the footage possible from October 7th, and it doesn't come close to what we're seeing now. It's just every single day I see 50 videos of shit that never should happen, that there is no justification for whatsoever. And even the Zionists, they just don't want to talk about it. They want to ignore it. They don't want to see the video. They just want to do this, and they want to say October 7th, October 7th, October 7th. And that's what Mike Johnson's doing too. And the only way that you could do that is if you, for most of these people, is if you feel like you have this permission from God to do horrible things because it's going to bring about something better. Trigger warning on this one. This is Dr. Nada al-Hadithi. She's testified multiple times, and she's going to explain the story here of her experience in Gaza and the deliberate starvation and just the indiscriminate killing and specifically targeting doctors. One thing I also want to point out is that every time in this country that we have somebody who is killed by an immigrant, whether they be legal or illegal, it leads the news on every right-wing channel. And yet we have American citizens, journalists, doctors who have been killed by IDF soldiers, and you don't hear a peep from our government. They're not over there fighting. They're not fighting with Hamas. They're not fighting for the Palestinians. They're over there giving aid or reporting, and they are killed. And our government is silent. It is radio silence from our government. It is fucking baffling to see time and time again going. In fact, I forget her name. She's the press secretary, I think, for Marco Rubio. She was asked about it, and she basically was like, well, it's a war zone over there. That's it? Just a war zone? There's just people over there giving humanitarian aid, trying to provide care for starving men, women, and children. They're murdered by the IDF, and you're like, that happens sometimes.
When you were there, did you see the increase in malnutrition before your eyes?
Yes, absolutely. From the first week I was there until the end, 3 weeks later, it was a tangible difference in the amount of starvation and the emaciation of our patients. Even the severity and relentlessness of the bombings was worse. I mean, it was mass casualty after mass casualty, with people being blown up in their tents, which were meant to be in green zones. The situation was catastrophic.
And some of those people who were shot at by drones in their tents were some of your own colleagues as well. One in particular, a father and his children were killed. Tell us more about that.
He was followed home one day, and this is eyewitness testimony.
What did you say? I would propose a fallacy in your argument, survivorship bias. You only see the videos of the things that are recorded of everyone taped. There are hundreds that aren't in the fundamentalist Islamic states. I think maybe you're not talking to me.
Testimony from other healthcare workers in the hospital by a quadcopter drone, and it didn't kill him on the route where he was on his own. It waited until he was in his tent and greeted his 3 children and killed all of them, and their bodies were brought to the hospital. And it's a real loss. This isn't just one case. His case is devastating to me because he was my friend. But actually, more than 1,500 healthcare workers, according to the UN, now have been killed. And we
can't keep healthcare workers alive. How incompetent is the IDF? Like, if you're going to make the argument that they're not just purely evil, which good fucking luck, because I think this is just pure evil. But if you're going to make an argument that this isn't pure evil, are they the dumbest human beings that have ever existed? Are they just completely incompetent? Like they can't tell the difference between somebody returning home? Like what's the justification here? Somebody goes into their house and then kill them and their children? If it's not pure evil, which it absolutely fucking is, then what else? What's your argument? What do you have left? Oh, no, they're just all so stupid that they don't know. And, you know, that happens. Sometimes we just give stupid people sniper rifles and drones and weapons of mass destruction and tanks. You know, what can you do?
Nasser Hospital alone, more than 10 scrub nurses have been killed. And this has direct impact on the quality of care we can give our patients. And if you just step outside even more, the staff members themselves are starving, their family members are being killed, and yet they're still coming to work. Never before have I seen such dignified, committed people.
Unbelievable. Sometimes you see these doctors and the heart, it's all heartbreaking. But it gives me like some hope in humanity. The amount of, and I'm terrible with names. I just watched one this morning. These doctors who are over there and aid workers who say, I'm probably going to die. Like eventually it's going to be me. But I can't leave. I can't leave these people with nothing. They have no care. They have no food. They have no medical care. I can't leave just to protect myself. And they do. 1,500. 1,500. And we can't find anybody in Republican leadership. So you guys are running the whole fucking country. We can't get one of you guys to be like, all right, that's enough. I am chronically confused by the support for Donald Trump because he's an idiot. But I will never understand the continued support for this administration while as they sit by and they egg this on. They're to finish the job. Trump last week was like, well, I guess they just want to die. Not, we could probably just have Hamas stop sniping people who are picking up aid. We could probably do that. I don't know how many more pictures I have to see of children with bullet holes in their heads. And then I'm going to be lectured by Christians. Well, there's trans people in our schools. Shut the fuck up forever. You wonder why some of us have so much animosity towards religion? Because of this. There's nothing I can do. Like, I don't have a belief that allows me to overlook terrible behavior. This version of Christianity in America is sick. There's a comedian named Mark Maron who's been doing the rounds. Bill Burr is doing the rounds. There's a lot of pushback from like the right wing comedians like Rogan and Andrew Schultz. And Mark Maron said something the other day. He was on what's Bad Friends podcast, and he said, "Okay, you won. All right, you did the jokes. You won. Trans people are terrified. You've put trans people back in the closet. They have no access to medical care. Immigrants are being rounded up, and thrown in cages. They're terrified for their lives. When did the jokes stop? When do you stop punching down? You've made your point now. When did the jokes stop? I'm just wondering, when you Christians, when the fuck are you going to do something Christian? When's this administration going to do something Christian? Name one thing this administration has done that is Christian. We've banned trans women. We've banned trans people from sports. That's it. You cut aid to third world countries. You cut medical care for third world countries. You're cutting cancer research. You're cutting off Medicare and Medicaid. Ripping families apart. Giving massive tax breaks to the richest among us, while massive tax increases on the middle class, small and medium-sized businesses, carving out loopholes for your billionaire friends. When the fuck are you Christians going to be fucking Christians? You want us to stop? You want us to like your religion? You want us to stop laughing at your religion? You want me to respect the fact that you have this fairy tale fucking religion? Then act like Christians. When I've got lefties on my side that are like, I believe in Jesus and I don't like Palestine, I'm like, great, I like your religion. That's great. Good for you. But it seems to me that this version of republicanism is just the hate. You know, I hate to bring him up again, but like the Andrew Wilson crowd that's here, what the fuck? Like the chat in those lives, it's the most vile chat I've ever been in. It's the most hateful chat I've ever been in. The amount of threats and vile comments I've got in my DMs has exponentially increased since I started going to Raging Tomato, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to stand there with a smile on my face, and I'm going to say, you're a dumb bitch, and your fairy tale religion is bullshit. You're just a thin-skinned little bitch who wants to believe that everybody else is the problem. But for you conservatives, when the fuck are you going to show us this loving Jesus that you claim that you worship? When's that coming out? Do we get to that at some point? Or are we just doing all the hate? We got to get all of our hate out of us first before Jesus comes back. Is that what we're doing? It's crazy. Like, the people advocating a genocide right now are deeply religious Israelis and Christians. The only people still supporting the genocide at this point in this country are right-wing Christians. And all you fuckers do is be vile. That's it. Your entire existence is just being vile and cruel. I'm so tired of being lectured by you guys. Don't disrespect my religion. Then don't make your religion so goddamn easy to disrespect. How about that? I could overlook the Bible. I could overlook everything in the Bible. I could overlook every fucking step if you didn't do the same shit that I don't like in the Bible. Well, you know, we don't justify murder. The fuck you don't. The fuck you don't. You're completely unrecognizable to the New Testament. Completely unrecognizable. If Jesus showed up today, you would call him an immigrant and you would throw him in prison. And you know you would. That's the crazy part. You all know, if Jesus doesn't come floating down from the sky and he's just a guy on the streets, you would throw him in alligator Alcatraz. And you all fucking know you would, because Jesus isn't going to have papers. And even if he did, like, if he's here illegally because those didn't get approved. If you don't have some sort of sign when Jesus returns that's like, oh, that's him, you will treat him like shit. You'll be racist towards him. You'll throw him in jail. You'll call him a commie because he has the audacity to say that maybe we take these billionaires' money and we use it to pay for people who are starving. Like, fuck conservative Christians. You have ruined Christianity for the people who practice it the way that it's supposed to be practiced. The New Testament, I don't even know why we talk about the Old Testament, you Christians. I don't even get it. The New Testament, the new law, is literally turn the other cheek and love everybody as your neighbor. You are the most hateful, despicable human beings in this country. You hate everybody who doesn't think like you and who doesn't look like you. Christianity is dying because of you. The only place where Christianity is growing in this country is like the corners, the white supremacist corners. That's it. I think he'd be mad at you. And again, to all my friends that are Christian that don't justify genocide, they don't justify treating somebody cruelly because they're Muslim or because they're atheist or because they're a member of the LGBTQ community or because they have a disability. You're awesome. I love you guys. I really do. And I do think that your brand of Christianity matters, and I do think that it does good, and I applaud every last one of you. And I specifically love the Christians who don't say it the way I do, because I use bad words, but I specifically love Christians like James Tallarico, who take the teachings seriously. And he said, like, I'm sorry, I read the same book you did. I didn't see this obsession with people who are different than me. Most of this book seems to be Jesus talking to people who are different than him and telling them that they're loved and that they matter. And specifically saying, like, you know who's the worst people on earth? I mean, like, there's basically one group of people that Jesus consistently criticized in the New Testament. Rich folks. Rich folks. And you guys openly worship them. We love Donald Trump. We love Elon Musk. Don't take the money from these poor billionaires. That's against, I said Charlie Kirk, like, that's against the commandments. Thou shalt not covet and thou shalt not kill. There should be an 11th commandment called Charlie Kirk has to shut the fuck up always. They're coveting. Nobody's coveting. Like, when we advocate that you take your money and give it to poor people, we're not coveting your money. We're not coveting it. We're just saying, hey, those people might die. And you're like, well, I need another house. That's all we're saying. Just take some of that money and let it be distributed equally or more equally. I can't figure out for the life of me. I cannot figure out your fucking party. We're running cover for pedophiles now. Like, Jesus loves children so much that if you abuse children, he moves you to a minimum security prison where you have craft time and you can get some open air. Jesus loved children so much that when you had a notorious pedophile, Jesus wouldn't want you to tell the truth because he would want to protect the innocent people who might be included with that pedophile. Oh, by the way, if you were around Epstein and you saw what he did, even take the kid stuff out, just the stuff Epstein did with adults. Why are you protecting the people that protected what he did with adults? Well, I know that he was paying sex workers regularly. We don't want all these other good Christian men to be caught up. It's not fair that you find out that they were just also traveling the country with a plane full of prostitutes. That's not fair to them. Yeah, that's what Jesus would do for sure. Jesus would be like, hide that shit. Fucking hide it. Don't tell anybody about these people covering up for a notorious pedophile. I don't get it. I don't get any of you. Name one thing, and I'll read the chat. Name one thing Donald Trump that the Republican Party advocates for that you think Jesus would side with you on. Keep in mind, the only words I know from Jesus all are in the New Testament. So just Republicans, if you're here, give me one thing Republicans are doing that Jesus would agree with. Let's read. Why didn't Biden release Epstein files? They did release Epstein files, Jeffrey, and then Trump released them too and said that he released them. They put them in a binder and they're like, "Hey, here you go." Now that I've answered your question, why isn't Trump releasing them, Jeffrey? One simple question. Why isn't Trump releasing them? I don't think Biden's a good guy. I think the reason Biden didn't release the Epstein files, and this is a guess, but I think Biden didn't release the Epstein files because Biden was also a bootlicker for Israel. And Biden understood what we talked about yesterday, that Jeffrey Epstein was at the very least an FBI informant, probably a CIA informant, and probably an agent of Israel. I think that's why Biden didn't do it. And I think it's evil, and I think that he should have done it. Now, could you do the same thing about Donald Trump? Why isn't Trump releasing it? Where are we talking about? He wouldn't be for transgenders playing in women's sports. Yeah, where are you referencing that, Jim? I read the whole New Testament. Sorry, I missed the part where Jesus gave a goddamn about sports. I'm sorry. I think Jesus would probably look at our sports and be like, why are we giving athletes all of the money? Why is Luka Doncic going to get a $500 million contract to play sports? Yeah, I don't think Jesus would have given a fuck about sports. And I don't think, like, you think he would have been like, oh, I really care about the purity of amateur athletics. That's what I care about the most. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? I ask them one question and the best they can come up with, all these Christians like, well, transgenders in sports. Fuck you. You're not a Christian. You're a bigot that hides behind a cross. Every last one of you. Every fucking last one of you that can't answer that question. And if you had any integrity at all, you would leave this live today and you would analyze, am I following the teachings of Jesus or am I a fucking bigot? And when you say like, oh, these are the teachings of Jesus, really? Show me, where's the scripture about trans people at all? Where is it? Dude, Jesus walked around in a dress. Is that a cross-dresser? Is that a cross-dresser there? He hung around with dudes. You're telling me that there was some like homeless vagabond roaming our country with 12 other dudes that was like going around being like, you got to listen to me, fuck the government. You guys would just make gay jokes about him. The amount of jokes you would make about Jesus being gay, if you didn't know, that's all you would do. He's like, nice pride dinner, while he's like turning the loaves and fishes into more loaves and fishes. Oh, you're feeding the poor? Okay, gay. You guys, there's nothing about you that even remotely resembles, like, the only people you resemble in the New Testament is the Romans. In the story of the Good Samaritan, every person that passed up the guy on the side of the street, every one of them had a MAGA hat on. Ew. 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 I don't like that I have to look at people on the streets. They shouldn't be able to live in this. I'm trying to enjoy this nice street, and there's that homeless person sitting on the side of the street. Which part of the Bible are you? Where's Trump in the Bible? Who would Trump be? Let's just insert him into the Bible. Let's say, all right, so Jesus, who tells all of his apostles to sell everything and follow me and go teach. You think Jesus would be pro-Trump? Like, you know who Jesus would have really loved? The rich guy. The rich guy that like consistently cheats on his spouse, that demonizes women, that demonizes poor people. Every time a woman speaks to him in a way he doesn't like, he's immediately sexist. He advocates for the genocide of people, by the way, in that area. By the way, just a reminder, if Jesus was in Palestine, the Israelis would be shouting at them, and you guys would all you'd be like, finish the job, because he'd look an awful lot like them. Trump would be King Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah. Yeah. Let me guess. The communists? Jesus loved those communists. Jesus did love the communists. Easier for a man to get into, or easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. And somehow you dumb fucks read that book and you're like, don't take my money. That's my money. I have rights. I need more money. We gotta elect rich people. Everybody you guys worship on your side of the aisle is just some rich dude. The amount of people that you have in your party that are in your party and have leadership in your party because they fucked over poor people is alarming. You ever heard of Rick Scott? How'd he get all his money? He stole money? He stole from Medicaid? Cool. Jesus would have been like, hell yeah, brother. Keep cashing those checks, dog. JD Vance? You kidding me? JD Vance just goes out there and banks tries to start a company where he's going to bring back jobs to Ohio, and then they just wind up hiring illegal labor, and then they don't pay everybody, and then it goes bankrupt. Yeah, that's probably it. That's probably it. By the way, it's ironic that you guys hate on LGBTQ people, but not a peep about Scott Bessent, not a peep about Peter Thiel, who funds like most of your campaigns. Not a peep about that. Not a peep from you guys about Tom Cotton being caught in a gay bar last week in the skiddiest jeans known to man. Shout out to Tom Cotton for wearing it with pride and getting out there. Not a peep from you guys about that. But how many butt plug jokes did you make about Pete Buttigieg today? Unlimited? I'm tired of you guys. I'm tired of you fake ass Christians. If you consider yourself a Christian and you're still aligning with this party, you just get fucked. Charles said for Jen's guilt trip, Noodle Poodle Girl says, "Yep, Big WJ, courteous one, new merch idea. Jesus wouldn't have papers. That's a great idea. Losing a choice. I'm playing that. Kudos for my Christian wife. Rock on." Jen says, Jen 420. I need that. WJ Rex says, modern Christianity isn't about peace or clarity. It's about supremacy and hate. They feel like God gave them permission to be evil, so it's okay. Yeah, it's justification. It's a shield for bigotry. That's all it is. Every person with that big ass cross, you're just like, don't call me a bigot, please. These are my beliefs. Pasco says, the so-called Christians in the chat, Jesus said nothing about LGBTQ or abortion. The Bible speaks of immigrants over 400 times, and you're not following the teachings. God damn. That's a heater. Weston said Howard Dean was the screamer. That's right. Casey said dollar chain for the week. Thanks, Casey. 6 cents. Amelia, appreciate you. Let me read through these and we'll get out of here. Betsy said, great show. Thanks, Jen and Mods. Raina said, great show today. Marty said, I too. Marty said, I too fuck Shane's mom. Sorry, Shane's mom. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman. Fuck you, Shane, but I'm sorry that we made jokes about your mom. All right, guys. Tomorrow's Friendly Friday. RPT. It's RTP, Bill, you dumb fuck. Says, screw the homeless vets. Tax dollars are better spent on illegal aliens. Yeah, what are you dumb bitches doing for homeless vets, Bill? RTP said we should give it to immigrants. You gave it to billionaires. You guys cut funding for veterans and gave it to billionaires. Fuck you. Mine's still better. Jesus would side with me before he sided with you. If you said to Jesus, hey, we're not going to give this money to homeless vets. We're going to give it either to immigrants or billionaires. Jesus would be like, immigrants. And Bill's like, billionaires. Gotcha. Fuck you, Bill. God damn. This is the thing. Like, you're trying to do this thing. By the way, I don't think that veterans should be homeless. I think that we should take the empty buildings and we should fund that. I don't think anybody in this country should be homeless unless they're just like, you know what? I want to live outside. In which case, great. But I think people who currently are homeless, I think we should give them access to medical care, mental health. I think job training. And I think that they should have housing. Not because everybody deserves something free, but because we can. We can afford all of this. We could afford to house every single person and feed every single person in this country and every other country. But no, the Republicans, the Christian Republicans, we can't do that because we got to give more tax cuts to billionaires. Get fucked. Off topic, if you really think the election stuff is BS, can you debunk it? I don't understand why you ignore the experts when we usually listen to them. Danielle, you're asking me to do the same thing that Republicans. So like Republicans, for example, 2,000 Mules. They come out with the movie 2,000 Mules, and they make a lot of claims that you can't debunk. My problem with some of the stuff you're showing me is that what you're sending me about the election stuff is just evidence that like something is different. But I've yet to see any evidence that says Republicans cheated. What you're showing me are anomalies, and I agree that those are anomalies. What I don't have is an explanation of what they are, and if you've watched my show long enough, you know I'm not willing to make a leap and pretend that I'm right about something when I don't have enough evidence to say that that's correct. Do I believe that it's possible that there was election engineering in the last election? Sure. But I'm gonna hold the same standard I did for the Republicans. Like, I'm not just gonna go believe something because of optics. And I think most of what I've seen, Danielle, admittedly I haven't read everything you've sent me yet. I'll try and catch up. But everything I've said so far, I can come up with an alternate explanation or multiple explanations. And until I can rule out those explanations, I'm not willing to say that the election was stolen. But I do appreciate that you sent them to me, though. I really, really do. Did I miss any other ones? I don't think so. Let me check Jen's messages real quick. All right. Dope. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow morning. It's Friendly Friday tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1. Last hour of the show is Friendly Friday, so make sure you're a member of the Discord if you want to jump in on Friendly Friday. Discord's free, so just send any of our moderators a message if you want to join the Discord. As a reminder, on Monday, I've got a debate with Rob Noor, and you do need to be a paid subscriber to watch that with us. So if you have a paid subscription either through YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok. You can watch that with us either here on YouTube or in the Discord. So make sure that you've got that up to date. Other than that, guys, thank you guys so much for today. I know there was a lot of heavy stuff today, and I appreciate you walking through that with me. It helps to go through this together. I hope you guys feel that way too. I will see you tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, bright and early, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Take care of yourselves. Take a break from politics if you need it. We're in a weird spot, but we all you got one life to live. So try and keep it together if we can. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.